on. Yeah. Hello. Welcome, everybody. It is January 7th, 2021. I am coming to you live from Lima, Peru, South America. I'm joined, as always, by Dalton from Seattle, Washington. How you doing, Dalton?
Doing pretty good, as good as anybody can be doing after an 8-hour workday.
Right. Happy New Year. Merry Christmas. We haven't seen each other in a while, so this is the comeback. How was your break? What did you do? Anything interesting?
It was good. As good as it could be over, despite all the sadness that happened, right after Christmas.
Yeah.
I didn't really have much of a break. Pretty much worked the whole break because what anyway.
Oh, I see.
So it was just kind of like it was nice, but it was Christmas was nice and New Year's was nice, but other than that, I just kind of did the same old, same old.
Yeah. I actually managed to get out of town for a few days, so that was actually pretty good. Um, it's still kind of hard to leave town and kind of forget that everything's happening because you can't really forget it. You can try, but it's not the same as before when you can just go and have a good time. Yeah, but even with that, yeah, yeah, even with that, I managed to have a good time. So I'm recharged for a 2021, a good 2021, I guess. We'll see what this year brings. I'm still excited despite everything.
Same. I think it's always important to go into a New York,
New York, New York.
with a positive outlook. it's always good,
It's always important to go to New York.
but what I was trying to say is always important to go into a new year with like just a positive outlook. I think it sets a tone. So
Yeah.
I have big plans. I think. I think for my personal life, at least, everything will be really good. I can't say the same for everybody else in the world doing all their crazy nonsense and whatnot. But
Far up, man. Anyway, we're doing something a little different today. We have watched AEW for the past few weeks. Uh, I didn't actually. I actually missed a little bit of. I'll come clean now, and I'll say I missed a little bit of the December 23rd show. But something happened on that show that I'll never forget that I want to talk about here briefly is Tully Blanchard calling Jurassic Express Jurassic Park. Great stuff, man. He
wow, yeah, yeah.
he messed up, and it was live, and Cash and Dax were just looking at each other laughing, and they wanted to laugh, and they just barely hold it in. It was great. But anyway, so what we're gonna do now is we're gonna talk about last night's Dynamite. Kick off with that. Then we can talk about Brodie Lee's tribute show, and then near the end, we're gonna watch three Brodie Lee matches. One from each promotion, so that's gonna be fun. And we're gonna actually watch wrestling instead of talking about it. No mas, like talking about it and that's it. So anyway, uh, last night's Dynamite opened up with SCU and the Young Bucks taking on the Acclaimed and TH2, right? I enjoyed seeing. I always enjoy seeing Christopher Daniels wrestle. I enjoy seeing him with the Young Bucks. In the end, when they did the Meltzer Driver, but they called it the best Meltzer Driver ever. Like the announcers combined like the names. I thought that was pretty sweet.
Sounds
Um,
good. Yeah, it's apparently they used to do that in the Indies back when they would team up.
oh, okay. Yeah, it makes a ton of sense. And the Acclaim name dropped what John Cena, and they name dropped somebody else from WWE.
Marty Jannetty.
Marty Jannetty. And it reminded me of Jericho during the tribute show calling Eric Rowan Eric Redbeard. I mean Eric Redbeard Eric Rowan, and and Excalibur saying Redbeard Rowan Redbeard Redbeard. And then I heard he actually got in trouble for that. Where it was on YouTube. I don't know if it's true, but I guess the danger is WWE could sue AEW technically if you call out their name.
Yeah.
It's like putting on someone's music.
Castles, yeah.
It's like putting someone's music on your video that you don't have the rights for or something.
was like, Jericho, like, you should know. You should fucking know better. You've been in this business for 30 plus years. Like,
Yeah.
when we talk about the tribute show, there's a, you know, at the time, it's like there was a couple moments like that where I'm like, it's like, what?
Yeah, I mean, at the same time, I think Jericho doesn't care, and I think with in the positions he's in right now, and you can there's a great interview he did with Bubba on Busted Open Radio where he talked about this, that he's more about like he's at this stage in his life where he doesn't really give a fuck, because he's done great in his career. He has a legacy already. He's a future Hall of Famer for sure. I mean, that could be, I think what he's doing now is actually moving away from wrestling and transitioning into commentary because he's going to be a full-time commentator soon, I think. And he's going to retire. I think Jericho's probably going to retire in like 2 years. Tops. From 2 years down. Because...
Yeah, I think as like a regular in-ring competitor, yeah, for sure. He might do like one-offs, here and there, but he's got like the band and all the other shit that he likes to do. I think he'd definitely see that in like 2 years.
Yeah, Fozzy. So, but anyway, the match was great. In the end, Kazarian says, okay, so a couple of stipulations. This was kind of weird because there was like a couple of things, important things. First of all, you guys are great. Young Bucks are great. You're great. But we're going to challenge you for the titles. And if we lose, we're breaking up. Wow, there's so much information there. What the fuck, man?
So wasn't didn't they do that on was that last week or the week before? Maybe that was the week before they said that because I think Kazarian was saying that like the week before last, or maybe it was on Dark, but I think I remember them seeing where Kazarian had already said that he's like, if we lose, SCU is over.
Yeah.
And, so I think they're going to build them up to getting a challenge to the Young Bucks at least, and I hope they don't win the titles. I mean, I like them, but I don't think they need to have the titles right now. There's so many other teams.
Yeah.
I think they've been teasing it for like a while on Dark at least.
I think somebody else, just like Jericho, who's going to move into out. I mean, he's going to retire soon. Is going to be Christopher Daniels. He said so too. Like, he's just there to help out the young crop, for a little bit. But he's already working as head of talent relations, and he doesn't like people to know that. Oh man, can you hear me? Hello? Can you talk? Can you talk?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Oh, sorry,
Talking?
man. Okay,
Yeah.
I'm gonna come clean. You were muted this whole time. I'm sorry.
Oh, was I muted this time? Oh, okay.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
That's
sorry.
fine.
But thankfully, I noticed 9 minutes in when we were on the beginning of AEW. So, welcome everybody. We were recording for 9 minutes. I'm sorry. But long story short, I'm Esteban, aka the Manic Hispanic. This is Dalton. We had a great, happy New Year. Dalton worked most of the time, but I got to hang out. Got out of town for a few days. Oh, you guys heard I wasn't. You were muted, but I wasn't. So I guess you heard my voice. I'm sorry. But anyway, we are discussing what we're going to do today. We're going to talk about AEW Dynamite, the first Dynamite since the Brodie Tribute Show. Then we're going to go back 1 week, talk about the Brodie Tribute Show, and at the end we're going to watch 3 Brodie matches from 3 different companies. So we're talking about the beginning, the SCU. I'm trying to recap as fast as I can. The SCU,
yeah, you're good.
Young Bucks versus the Acclaim in TH2 was pretty good. And yeah. So anyway, after that, I'm getting kind of sad. I would get kind of sad if they broke up because, Simon Miller of What Culture said it's like your parents breaking up a little bit. And I don't know. That's maybe extreme, but it feels like it. You have your wrestling dads in the business. Everybody does. Wrestling, like, even if you're okay with your dad, you still, like, got father figures in, like, I don't know, outside. So, sometimes you think about some wrestlers that are such dads, which was like John Huber. He was like into doing that and talking about it. So it's kind of weird how it all played out. All right. So next up we have, I'm trying to figure out what comes next. Everybody's talking about the main event and nobody wants to talk about the,
I mean, yeah, the main event was fucking wild. I mean, we can kind of breeze through a lot of this because I got it up right here because, you know, the opening tag match was really, let's just say, because we could breeze through a lot of this because, I mean, essentially to me, there wasn't really too much bad on this show, really, you know.
Okay.
Because the worst thing to me, and I think the most controversial opinion I have is that
give me it.
I'm tired of Sting just walking around.
Yeah.
And you know, just coming in and doing nothing. And just like I was so happy for Sting, but now I'm just like, dude, why? It's been like a solid month of this where Sting just comes out,
doesn't say shit,
and doesn't say shit. Just like looks around, points his bat at like Taz and everybody, and Taz is like, "I hate the fucking snow. I hate the snow." At
that was
Cage, and then
that was
like,
really funny though.
They're like shivering in the snow. I know, but it's just like
super funny. I hate them. This always happens.
It's like
I hate this happening all the time.
This is like the last week they can do this.
Yeah, the last.
You know
week.
what I'm saying? Next week, something has to happen, or I'm just like I'm gonna like kind of lose a little bit of
You're getting off the Sting
a little
train.
bit of faith in AEW's booking of Sting. Yeah, I'm gonna be kind of off the Sting train a little bit. You know, never fully off the Sting train, but
no, what is?
I'm gonna be like, what are you guys doing with Sting? I don't get it, but I have faith for another week. I call it next week. Yeah, next week if Sting comes out and you know Taz is still complaining about the snow.
Oh man, but that was the savior of that segment to me. I agree. Sting.
Yeah, it's always snowing.
Yeah. This is Taz just the best. Sting coming out doing nothing. When he debuted on December 2nd, I said he came back. No, for the next Dynamite, and he talked to Cody and said, "See you around, kid." Okay. And we said it on this program. At that time, he should have just walked away for a few weeks and just kind of show up in the middle of a match or something. That would have made so much more impact. I mean, I think the following time he came out was also good, but there have been so many I can't remember anymore.
It's been every week, and they all just kind of blended together to this one long, just like Sting like.
Yeah, and
it's just the same.
And today, when I was looking at it, I said, you know, if it's gonna be another one of these, that would suck. But you know what would make it better? If Sting just talks to Darby and says, "Darby, I know what you're doing. I see myself in you. I was like you one time. By the time, mad at the world, but that's not gonna get you anywhere, Darby. You know it. It writes itself, man. But I will stand by your corner because I am just the best and you need me in your corner because I know people like Brian Cage and I've dealt with them before. In fact, in this very network, you can build. It's the same network. It's the same network.
Like the NWO even.
Yeah, it's the same network he was on.
Because he had to fight the NWO. Yeah, you could. There is a lot like all these little segments. There's so much little stuff you could do. I mean, he doesn't have to drop a promo every time, but I feel like they just haven't done anything to further like he had that interview with Tony Schiavone, which he was just like, I'm super happy to be back in the jungle, man. Back on TNT. I'm back in the jungle. I mean, I don't know if I'm missing something, but I didn't realize TNT was the jungle. I don't know if there's like something back in the day that I'm not picking up on, but he's like back in the jungle, and then like every other week he's like,
well, okay. A couple things about that. First of all, that promo, clearly shoot promo. He was not in character. You could tell.
Definitely.
And it was kind of cool to see Sting so happy, but also kind of give me some character, man. Like, I don't know. But Stinger has always been, you know, the cool thing about Sting is he's like a talkative Undertaker in many ways. Like, he's also this mysterious guy, but he could talk, man, and he talks really well, and he talks a lot. Like, even in Crow Sting, he would talk.
Mm-hmm.
He just didn't talk during the time it was most famous, like when the build-up with Hogan. He didn't really talk. I don't remember him talking there.
Yeah, it's like, what, like 18 months or something like
Yeah.
that crazy.
And he would just do what Darby Allin does now. You know, he just copied off his thing. So just sit in the rafters and come down and hit, chase everyone away with a bat. That's it. But, after that, he spoke a lot, no? Anyway.
Yeah, I mean, especially in TNA, I mean,
Yeah.
Joker Sting, for Christ's sake.
Yeah.
That motherfucker wouldn't shut up.
Dude, I love Sting's TNA run because he had some great matches. And, many would call him past his prime, but he had some bangers, man, with Kurt Angle and AJ Styles and even Scott fucking Steiner.
Samoa Joe.
Yeah, Samoa Joe. Like, that dude, he has so much respect from everyone. And I was just trying to figure out, like, why, when he came out, why did we all lose our minds? And I don't know if I have an answer. What do you think we all lose our minds? What is it about Sting that, so captivating or whatever?
I think for a lot of people, at least for me, it kind of takes me back to, like, it's like obviously nostalgia. I mean, there's always that nostalgia pop when any of those old wrestlers. But I think for somebody like Sting, because he is like an Undertaker, he has such a presence and when you think about it, for WCW, he embodied like WCW in a way that like Ric Flair or Dusty did, but he never went to like WWE even, until like way later. So when you see Sting, it's like that last, like kind of, he's like that last vessel of like WCW spirit, where you're like, you see him, and you're like, oh yeah, so this means business now. Like, just Sting being there has implications of bigger things surrounding him and bigger things to come. And I think for me, that's why, because I was like, oh, Sting? Oh, what's going to happen with Sting? Who's going to be with Sting, or who's going to fight Sting, or what's Sting going to do? And so like there's all this intrigue around Sting, because there's just always been this big buzz around Sting. Sting has always just been one of the, with WCW and TNA, for most of TNA, he was like their flagship. He was like the face of TNA. He embodied kind of that TNA spirit as well, until like very recently, where I think now it's, guys like I don't know, I can't think of anybody right now off the top of my head, but you know what I'm saying. He's definitely just that guy. He's the guy. He's like the ace. It's like Tanahashi in New Japan. He's just the ace.
Right. Yeah, and I think that, we, in wrestling, there's this cool thing where if you're great for a short while, people like celebrate you. If you're an up-and-coming star, people celebrate you. But in wrestling, what's cool about it is that if you're consistent, and maybe you didn't have many big matches or anything, but you've been doing it for years and you're good and you're always employed, people respect that too. I mean, I think about Goldust, who, in the 90s had a few marquee matches. I don't think he was ever in the main event. I don't remember him ever being in the main event. I think he won the world title one time, but he was always there, and he was always consistent, and he always delivered. Ron, the Truth Killings, he did have a main event run, and he was world champion in TNA like a bunch of times, but he's now set into this, comedic act that he does really well. So, I mean, it just really depends, and, it depends on the company and what you want to do, but I don't know. I think that Sting being in AEW is a good thing too, because anything that, the Sting Darby Allin thing, we were talking about how cool it would be before Sting was even signed, or whatever. And, a funny thing, I listened to his podcast, and he said that Tony Schiavone did know, because we were talking about did he know? He did know Sting was there because Cody told him, your buddy's here. And he said, which buddy? Like, who? And it's like, let's go to his trailer. We'll go see him now. And they go to his trailer, and it's Sting, dude. Imagine that fucking Tony Schiavone. Like, his expression would have been crazy.
Probably was great.
Yeah. I mean, Tony Schiavone in AEW has really grown on me because, like, I'm ambivalent about the dude. I think he's great. He's a great commentator. He's one of the best in the history of our sport. He got that phrase over. Like, he's not talked about. I mean, I'm glad he's being talked about now because with a lot of the WCW announcers, people don't talk about him enough. I think one of the best of all time was Mike Tenay, and nobody talks about him a lot.
Yeah.
They talk about him in some podcasts.
He doesn't get credit, yeah.
But he's awesome, and he did a great job in TNA, man. He used to scream out the top of his lungs. It was awesome. And he would say stuff that no other commentator would say, like
Just one of those
things.
guys.
Yeah, he would say, like, guys from the truck, can we see that again? And he would say, guys from the truck all the time. So it was like a nice shout out. But yeah, I think it's mainly because of that. Anyway, let's move on. So why didn't you like the women's match exactly? I thought it was good.
So I don't know. See, I feel like this is like one of those times where I just don't get it, I guess. Like I really just, for me, just watching it, I just was like, what the fuck? It's just like
Why?
the whole biting thing didn't really, just like just the way it was structured, there was just like they were wandering around aimlessly. There's like the biting, her like taking her under the ring to me was like super hokey. It wasn't even like one of those things where, what is it? I can't remember who said it. They're like, they're dragging her to hell. I'm like, no, they're not. Like, cause like I think it's weird to me because like I feel like they're not going full like force with it. I feel like it's one of those gimmicks like Abaddon, like. With this match, I think she should have came in. If they're going to do like the whole biting thing, it should just be like real quick. It should just be this whole like kind of like spotty, like gimmicky match, She's kind of like a gimmicky character. And I feel like there's just a lot of moments where they were just kind of like meandering around the ring a little bit or just meandering outside, after like, especially that bit of her dragging her into the ring. The rest of the match was just kind of it seemed awkward. It seemed like commentary doesn't know how to like put her over or how to like treat her. Like it's like obviously we know it's fake, she's not like a zombie, and they said that on commentary, but they also don't know, like they're like putting her over, they're like, oh, she's crazy, she's like this person, blah blah blah, but they're like, I feel like again, you have to like go full force. Commentary, I don't want to hear explanations from commentary. I want commentary to be like as confused as I was when I first saw her, I want them to be like just baffled. I don't want them to have like explanations for her. I don't want them to be like, yeah, her makeup, she's somebody who lives in her makeup. I just want them to.
That was weird too, man. I didn't understand.
Yeah, just a lot of weird lines, and it just takes me out. And like I said, I think again, just go full force, make her like spooky and supernatural, make her like the Fiend of AEW. That's kind of what that's what I was expecting out of this match and was I hoping to see out of this match. And it just didn't deliver any of that. But a lot of people, like I said, I mean, most of the podcasts and other stuff I listen to, I'm just the odd man out, I guess, because everybody else seems to really like it. But I just thought it was boring.
I think that this match proved something beyond reasonable doubt. And that is that AEW is becoming more and more sports entertainment, increasingly sports entertainment. Even the main event scene.
Yeah.
I mean, the whole Jon Moxley, Kenny Omega is sports entertainment. It's good sports entertainment, but it's sports entertainment. I mean, he hits him with a microphone. They run off in a car. It's pretty, it's WWE on a good day and a really good day, which they haven't had a lot of. But
oh yeah.
But with indie stars too, getting involved in Don Callis, and I mean it was really well done, but it was just very sports entertainment heavy, and this too, and the whole I mean Hangman Page kind of storyline, the drunk storyline. I was just like, oh, when they showed me that, I was like, really, we're gonna do the 357th drunk wrestler storyline in the business? Like, there's been so many, and none of them have worked out okay. This one wasn't that bad, but it was really unnecessary. Like, okay, I mean, I like Hangman Page. He's one of my favorites, and I love his character. But it's like, okay, I love whiskey, and I need to make sure that everybody knows that I love whiskey, and I need to tweet about whiskey, and my life needs to be centered around whiskey, and I need to drink whiskey in the ring. And it's like, dude, come on. You're such a good wrestler, and so don't talk about the whiskey so much. So they finally stopped with the whiskey, and now he's doing great. He's doing awesome. He's doing better than he's been doing in months since he broke up from Kenny. I mean, you got to admit, with the Dark Order, he's doing great stuff.
I see. I think this is where you and I differ because I
Oh.
think he's continually still doing great. I think him and his Kenny Omega storyline, I think was like the best thing from this last year, like their title run and everything. I really like the whole Drunk Hangman storyline. I think like all the BTE stuff was really fun, and I think it's honestly still going on. I think he's playing more of a background now that Kenny Omega is like the guy, but I think it's going to come back again here kind of down the line. But yeah, I think I kind of like the whole whiskey cowboy, anxious millennial cowboy thing he was doing.
I mean,
And so I'm with it.
I like it, but I love that. You know what I like about Hangman is that it's not like he pretends to be a cowboy. It's that he likes cowboy stuff, and I think that's the difference because other wrestlers that try to do gimmicks with like southern accents and cowboys, like Cameron Grimes, who makes me cringe every time I hear his stupid voice. So like, oh man, I just kind of run away from that. And but he does it well. But anyway, still not the biggest fan.
Yeah. No, I agree.
Anyway,
Yeah. Well,
so we can talk about the main event too. John Moxley,
oh yeah, I was going to say we can kind of just run through everything real quick because what is it? We had the women's match. Like I said, was like really the only other thing I didn't like. Of course, we have to talk about Snoop Dogg.
Oh right, doing that plancha.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it was like I said, he's not going to be injured. He's got shit to do. But I did enjoy him in that backstage
It was so
private
funny,
party
though.
gig. And you can tell, like, everybody got high with Snoop Dogg after, so it was a good day.
I bet, yeah.
So
I just like that line from Jericho when Snoop Dogg hits that splash. It's like a human piece of spaghetti.
yeah,
Just cracked me up. It was like you're saying, they're getting way more sports entertaining, but this again is sports entertainment that I can get behind because this, like I said, I genuinely when I saw him going up to the rope and you could just see Snoop, he's just shaking. You could see him in his eyes. I was like, is this really gonna happen? Is he gonna really jump? Because I thought for sure, I was like, there's no way he's gonna like jump. Somebody's gonna like stop him or something's gonna happen. But no, that motherfucker went off the top. And I was like, oh wow, it was ugly, it was awful, but it was like one of those moments where it's like, yes, this is wrestling. This is why I like wrestling.
Yeah, I mean,
like that was great.
It just takes someone hitting their finishing move, or some celebrity hitting any move, to get people to cheer or to pop. Like on the Brodie Lee tribute show, Jake the Snake hit Eddie Kingston with a clothesline, and that was just like I cried during that.
God,
moment.
that was also that was great. That was great too.
Anyway, of course, Hager versus Wardlow was good too. Very sports entertaining too, but really good.
Oh
yeah.
If there wasn't this main event, like this was my second favorite.
Yeah.
Besides the main event.
This was awesome. I love Hager and I love Wardlow.
Yeah. God.
I think I prefer Wardlow's style a little bit over Hager, but Hager is legit badass too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Hager gave Wardlow so much. I think Wardlow just kind of like easily handled Hager. It seemed like. I mean, obviously there were moments where Hager, did his thing, but like I was like, damn. I was like, they gave Wardlow like a lot in this match, and he went over clean. He looked fucking so good. And like the cool thing with these two guys is they're big guys, but instead of like that lumbering like style of like typical big man matches, I mean these guys were doing shit like people 100 pounds less than them would be usually doing.
Yeah, like cruiserweight.
And it was just really cool to see.
Yeah,
just like I can't remember. There was that moment where Hager goes running to the corner and Wardlow like he does like this weird little skip out like the corner, like basically side swipes like he's playing Super Smash Brothers and fucking goes back and does like some kind of flip and like spears him. It was just like, what the fuck?
And like Hager's like gonna throw a right hand and he immediately like ducks and just takes him down. Like, that was so cool, man. And my favorite part was, and he did
really
those
good stuff.
when he did those suplexes, like he was just throwing them. Like he would just like half a suplex, and then he would just spin him up and just throw him. And he would just throw Hager, like he threw Hager 3 times. and right when he was doing that, Excalibur was running down the match of the card. We're going to see Hikaru Shida versus Abaddon later for the women's title, and then we're going to have a main event: Kenny Omega versus Rey Fenix. And Jericho was saying, "Stop what you're doing! Don't call those matches. It's all about this match. Talk about this match. I don't care about the other matches. Talk about this match." And he was just screaming that, and it was great. I definitely think
Jericho,
that,
particularly in this, was really good on commentary.
Yeah, I think they're definitely going to push Wardlow. They're going to make him a face. So, but I just love that, in wrestling, we rarely see the giants, the muscle and stables, have a storyline of their own. And this is so cool that they get to do that.
Mm-hmm.
When they had that Inner Circle Ultimatum intervention, I was like, when are the giants going to talk? Because everybody else was talking, MJF and Ortiz and Jericho and Sammy. And then when Hager said, "Oh, I got a question. Why does this guy keep staring at me?" I lost my shit, man. That was the best part.
Yeah.
Because, like, they've been doing it for months at that point. Months. Like, since May. Since Double or Nothing. Since the Stadium Stampede. Or around that. Or, no, right around, a little later, like, All Out. Or, one of those mid-year pay-per-views when they got together with MJF, and he was not in the Inner Circle, but he was
Full
just,
Gear probably. Yeah.
looking at him, and it was just looking at him, and they just looked at each other all the time. It was just hilarious, dude. It was hilarious. But anyway, on to the main event, which was really good too. I really liked this match. Everybody loved it. Phoenix is like, I'm gonna just go ahead and put on the best wrestling match of 2021 right now on the 7th day of the year. I'm just gonna try and do that. And that's what he did. And it's like, how can this dude still go? Because he's taken some horrible bumps. And he can still go.
He always seems like he's injured every other week too.
Because he takes these horrible bumps, dude.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's like crazy. It's like, I think I sent you that message earlier. I was like, gravity just doesn't affect him the same way.
Yeah, right.
It's insane. Just some of the stuff he does in these matches. And it's just, I mean, I couldn't even tell you half the names of some of the shit he does. It's just shit I've never seen.
Yeah, me neither. I mean, what I showed on my Instagram story, which is that backflip, and then he did a German suplex. Oh, man. That was incredible.
So good.
That was so good.
So good.
That was like dessert. That was like key lime pie, dude. I love key lime pie.
I mean, just, these two together, just this whole Kenny Omega and like Penta and Rey Fenix, they just have like such good chemistry. There's like these 3 guys together. Like Triple Mania and everything, they've a couple years back, they've had like some really great matches, and it's just like they can like read each other's minds is the only way I can think about it, because I don't know how you go into this remembering half the shit that they're doing, because they're moving like lightning speed, and just like it seems so complicated, just the intricacies, and just like one little fuck up and these guys are dead.
Yeah, they are dead.
Like,
they're playing with fire. They're running with scissors, whatever metaphor you want to use. But they're doing that. Whatever metaphor we want to use, they're doing it. But
they're doing it.
Yeah. But I love the fact that, we followed through with the storyline. Like, by that point, I'd forgotten that Jon Moxley came out and said, "You better watch your back, Kenny Omega," because all this good stuff happened afterwards. So I legit forgot about Jon Moxley. Then when he came out, it was like, wow, yeah, this dude said he was going to do this. But because he said, "I'm not going to interfere in another man's destiny." So I thought, okay, he's not going to be in the match. He's just going to show up next week's Dynamite and do something. But then it's like, no, it paid off in that Dynamite. He came in. And then the fucking Good Brothers show up.
That was so good. I mean, there's been rumors about that happening, but when you actually see it, you're like, oh, yes. You're like, this is good. This is like the good stuff in wrestling. This is exactly like, it's like getting what you asked for Christmas.
That's apparently what everybody's sentiment is. Okay, so for someone who hasn't seen New Japan, illuminate me. What is the Bullet Club, the Elite? How did it all come about? I know it has to do something with Finn Balor. He was the one who started everything.
So, yeah.
Prince Devitt.
So, Finn Balor was like, Prince Devitt at the time. So, it was basically, it started with like him and then the Gorillas of Destiny, Tamatonga, and Tamaloga, or I can't remember the other brother's name, but it starts with them, and then Bad Luck Fale, and like basically, Finn was going after the I think it was the Intercontinental Championship at the time, and so they kind of just made this team of just like, kind of, it was like an NWO style. Like they were taking over New Japan and they were going after like Shinsuke Nakamura and all this shit after the title. And later down the line, you add all these guys like Gallows and Anderson. And then what really is interesting about the Bullet Club was like the inner workings more so than a lot of the matches they had. Because there was all like these hierarchies within like the Bullet Club, because you have like Prince Devitt, who was like the leader, obviously. And then you had Bad Luck Fale, who was like the rogue general. So he was kind of like the wild card. And then you had Carl Anderson and Gallows, who were like the heavies, they're like the enforcers kind of. So it was really cool in that sense where it was like they were invading these like American guys for the most part, are invading New Japan, very NWO style. And then like, it was like later down the line, AJ comes in and kicks out Prince Devitt and turns on, Finn Balor and whatnot. And so it's just like this whole line of stuff. Like, it's like really cool story stuff. Like, you really can't do it justice. You have to just kind of go back and watch it all. But it's like some of the most consistently booked stuff, or well booked storyline stuff in wrestling I've seen in my entire life. Like, there's so much history intertwined between all these guys that now that they're all back together, it's just such a it's just so cool that they've all traveled these separate paths, Gallows and Anderson going to like WWE, Kenny and blah, 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 everybody doing AEW, where you never really thought like the Bullet Club, like it's not Bullet Club anymore, technically, because it's New Japan has Bullet Club name, but just, you never think these guys would be back in the same ring again like that.
Can they do the hand gesture? Is that trademarked by New Japan?
Well, technically, the Two Sweets trademarked by WWE.
Right, because that's what I was thinking. It's like when it said Too Sweet on AEW's Instagram page, and they had the sign, I thought, did Hall and Nash show up to AEW? Like that was my first reaction.
That was kind of like their shtick, they were kind of like the clique of like New Japan. They were like the boys, they had like that same, it was kind of like that same like Degeneration X kind of like feel. Like it was like the cool thing in wrestling. Like I said, the Bullet Club was one of those things where I heard about it and saw it and was like, oh, wrestling's kind of cool again. Because again, the Bullet Club were just kind of cool. Kenny Omega, the Young Bucks, and Hangman, and Adam Cole, and all those guys were like in the Bullet Club. So like a lot of the guys that are like the top guys in wrestling today were like Bullet Club members.
I feel like NWO and Bullet Club are the only two stables that people know outside of WWE. I mean, 4 Horsemen, probably. But those 3 stables, not tag teams, stables, yeah. Anyway,
yeah, for sure.
Anyway, I need to check that out. When can I, like, what pay-per-view should I start with, or what show should I start with to learn about Bullet Club, and then watch from there?
It was Wrestle Kingdom, I think 9 is when, either 9 or 10 is when AJ takes over, and that's when the Bullet Club really starts getting like, that's when stuff gets saucy,
Okay.
Prince Devitt kind of sets it up, but it's when AJ Styles, I think it's 9 or 10, is when AJ is in, the leader of the Bullet Club, and that's when stuff's like really good.
Yeah, I'd like to see it because I love a good story, and I don't know if I've seen a lot of good wrestling
there's so
storylines
much
as stories. I mean, there's been great feuds. People don't get along and they want to fight. I mean, there's a lot of those that are really good. But, like, stories that this happened first and then this happened. Unlike, I mean, like, John Cena and CM Punk, Money in the Bank 2011. Do you know how that feud started? John Cena knocked over CM Punk's Diet Coke when he was doing commentary. No joke. It was a Raw in October 2010.
Really? Wow.
Yeah. And John Cena was having a match on Raw. CM Punk was on commentary. CM Punk had a Diet Coke, and John Cena knocks it over. And that's, like, the first interaction they had between each other. And then the feud started, because he knocked it over. And then, yeah, the payoff was great, but, like, that's not a good story, man. And the
Oh
story
yeah,
itself.
you're right. That is how that started.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That's so
That
fucking
Mac
weird.
coming in use now, right? Useful. But
Yeah.
anyway, they had the match, and it was great. But why were they fighting over some spilled Diet Coke? That's all. And the story is
Yeah.
great.
Wrestling's weird sometimes.
The story is great because Punk made it great. Honestly, I mean, I'm not the biggest CM Punk fan, but Punk really did great work there. And besides, not unwittingly, because he was looking to just leave the company in the middle of the feud, and maybe in his mind he was like, I'm gonna make this into an angle. I'm gonna work this into the match and stuff. So he signed the deal like an hour.
It's wrestling. They always think like that.
Yeah. So he signed a deal an hour into the pay-per-view. So he like literally signed his deal and then he left for the match. Like he went out to Gorilla for the match pretty much. So, yeah. Anyway, that's the way a cookie crumbles. Wrestling's weird, like you say. So I feel like
it's so weird sometimes.
So anyway, I just want to watch. You want to watch as much as you can. So I appreciate the recommendation. Let's get to the tribute show. AEW did a tribute show for Brodie Lee, who passed on December 26th. They did one for their December 30th edition of Dynamite. They were going to do New Year's Smash, and then they moved it. The show starts with JR saying, "It's Wednesday, you know what that means," which I'm trying to figure out where it started. I think it started when Brodie Lee got released, and he was tweeting it. Yeah, he was tweeting it. But he never said it in a promo, or did he?
No, it was never like that was just like a Twitter thing. That was just like Twitter and Instagram. He would just like, because I followed him on Twitter, and yeah, every day it was like, "It's Monday, you know what that means." ... It's Tuesday, you know what that means. ... So it was just like it's just his social media thing.
Maybe it had something to do with his 90-day no compete clause, like. Every day he was getting.
Well, he did it even afterwards.
Oh, really?
Yeah. No, it's just like from like really everything you can. Yeah, from really everything I can understand about the guy. It's just how he was. He was just fucking with people. Because he also on his Instagram, he would always like every caption would be like, "Here I am, Larry, at the blah 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 and such." And like Larry apparently was one of the social media guys in WWE who used to complain to him about posting on Instagram more. And so after like they had that conversation, every time he would post a pic on Instagram, he'd be like, "Here, Larry, here's a picture of me," and everybody's like, "Who's Larry?" And he would never explain it.
Oh man!
And so you could, if you go to his Instagram, you see it. It just says, "Here I am, Larry." And up until he got to AEW, because after AEW or after he quit WWE, he was like, that was a WWE gimmick. I got to come up with something new in AEW. So I think that was like the ultimate start of like, "It's Wednesday, you know what that means."
I thought he was doing it now when he was in AEW, so like that would be great heat, like calling out the social media guy from the other company who used to complain. Like, I think wrestlers are getting a little more ballsy with their call-outs. Like, I remember Randy Orton. He took a picture with the BTE locker room or something, an arena or something.
Oh, there was like the elite level or something. Yeah, something like that.
And he was like, give me a break or something. So, I mean, and, Cody fucking destroyed a throne, which he didn't really need to do, but,
It's still funny, though.
I didn't care for it at all. I thought it was too hokey, and
I thought it was one of those moments. It was like, oh my god, but yeah, it was hokey for sure. But
I didn't care for it.
I thought it was funny.
All. Anyway, so opening match was let me think back now. It was.
I got it right here. It's the Young Bucks and Colt Cabana versus Matt Hardy and Private Party, and let me tell you. If you weren't already crying after the 10-bell salute, seeing Colt Cabana come out and the rest of the Dark Order, oh my god, I cried the whole show. I was just nonstop crying. I've been crying. I probably stopped crying on Monday. Is probably when I stopped crying.
Wow.
Thinking about like this Brodie Lee stuff, because like every time I think about it, I'm like crying, and then every time I think about it, crying.
Yeah, I mean, I felt the same way. For me, it was more delayed crying. Like, I watched it. First of all, I stood up for the 10-bell salute, because I stand up for that sort of shit in my house. I don't give a fuck. Like, when something's exciting, I stand up. I do stuff like that. Anyway, so I stood up for the 10 bell salute, and I was already, feeling really sensitive and like not crying, but
A little misty.
yeah, a little misty. Some things happen in the show later on that we'll talk about, and then we'll see. I'll tell you where I cried. But rewatching clips on YouTube and Instagram, that has made me cry a lot. A lot.
Mm-hmm. Crying, tears,
yeah, tears.
In my car
tears.
at work during my break. I'm just like crying. I'm like, I don't even know
Yeah,
this man,
yeah,
but
yeah,
it's so
yeah.
goddamn sad.
Yeah, you described it perfectly. You said you're Eddie Guerrero levels of sad. And I think since Eddie Guerrero, there's not been a more shocking death in wrestling outside of Chris Benoit's. But that's, a whole other story.
Yeah.
But
Just
natural
it's like, because in wrestling, it's one of those things where it's like these guys usually die of like drug overdose, some issue with steroids, it's like these things where it sucks as a wrestling fan where you're kind of like used to like those guys dying young like that, like with like, their drug addictions and everything. But yeah, with like Eddie, I mean, it was a heart attack for him, like just freakish heart attack,
Yeah. Brian Pillman,
I think he was
too.
like 38, 39. Yeah. Just like, yeah. And that's another one of those ones, it's like just really sad. Cause like, again, other than that, I mean, Eddie had overcome so much adversity, was a WWE champion, and was just like one of the top guys in, the company. And again, and it's crazy to think now, but he's younger than Brodie Lee at the time. I think, like I said, 38, 39, something like that.
Yeah.
And so it had so much more to give. And it's like the same with Brodie Lee, dying of like this undisclosed like lung issue, which it's I think that's also like the big thing is like it's scary to think because like apparently from like what all the sources say, October 7th he had that last match. 2 weeks later is in the ICU from his lung failure. It's like really you're like, oh shit, like anything can happen. And so it's just one of those deals where it's like, again, a guy who up until now probably hasn't gotten the opportunities he's probably not deserves, because I don't think anybody deserves any like opportunity in wrestling. It's kind of one of those things like if you're good enough, you'll get your shot. And I think he's one of those guys that was good enough and didn't get the opportunity in WWE and was now finally getting that opportunity to prove, that he could go, and that dude could go in AEW. And so it's like, again, it's just kind of sad, died way too early before really he could like give everything he had to give.
Yeah. Well, I'll be honest. When Luke Harper, when the Wyatt family came up, I wasn't watching wrestling. So I started watching wrestling started watching again right around the Bludgeon Brothers and stuff like that. So I did see Luke Harper, but not Wyatt family, which is a shame because, I mean, early Wyatt family is really cool stuff. The debut is awesome.
Oh yeah,
the vignette is awesome. It's great stuff. I mean, I want to go back. I mean, I've seen the debut, but I've seen the awesome match with the Shield, which was like match of the year or something at Elimination Chamber 2014, which is awesome. I don't know if you've seen it, but that is a great match. And I now, after I heard about Brodie, I watched his Dolph Ziggler match with in TLC.
The ladder match, yeah.
It's awesome. It's
so
really
good.
And then he went to AEW, and it was like, man, it was so nice to see him so happy because he had said he was so disappointed in WWE. He wanted out, but like they kept him in. There was a time there where they were keeping everybody who wanted to leave. Like FDR wanted to leave.
Everybody, yeah.
I think Rusev wanted to leave, and they kept him. And then Brodie Lee wanted to leave, and they kept him. And they just extend their contract so they wouldn't go to AEW. And it's like, come on, man, just let people be happy. And I can't remember who it was.
Yeah.
Oh, Bubba Ray said, dude, you know what? The story of Brodie Lee, unfortunately, is a story of wasted potential, not on his part, but on WWE's part. He just wasn't used properly, and he could have been so good. He could have made so much money, And that you can say that about so many guys and girls in WWE, unfortunately. When they come out, they just blossom. It's like moving away from your conservative parents' house into your dorm at college. You just blossom.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I hate to make it like I don't want to make it like a WWE like bashing thing, but yeah, it's one of those deals where they really just dropped the ball with the whole Wyatt family thing. I'm in the same boat as you, where I didn't really start watching until I got back into around when there was the Randy Orton Wyatt family like feud that they had going on into
Right.
WrestleMania 33. So I caught the tail end of that, and it was weird to me because my first introduction of him, because in that feud, he was kind of like one of the main parts. So when I first started watching that, I was like, oh, so this big bearded guy is kind of like a big deal nowadays, huh? And
Yeah.
I was like, oh, so this is like a guy. And then going into that WrestleMania, he's not even on the main card, and then everything after that, you start realizing like, oh, okay, he's like, but you can tell he's good. You can always see that he's good, and like, especially when you're like a fan and you're reading the dirt sheets, you get to learn a little bit more about him. You read like the interviews, the podcast, and you realize how unhappy he is. And just like you said, yeah, it's just like moving out of your parents' house into a dorm.
Yeah. And getting like, would you like a beer? Like the first day you get there and it's like, would you like a beer?
Yeah.
Yeah, man, I don't know, man. Dad said it wasn't okay. But dude, you're in college. Dad isn't here. You can, I don't know. That's how I felt about Brodie.
You're like, I could do this. Yeah, no, yeah.
Have a sip. You'll like
and
it.
Just, all it counts, just everybody. That's funny. Yeah, that's exactly how it was. And it's just nice to hear that. I mean, like everybody, I mean, and like he was in AEW. It's so weird to think he was in AEW for like 6 months, 7 months, and had just such a huge impact on that company. There have been guys that have been there since the beginning that, haven't nearly affected the company in such a way. And I think it just speaks volumes to just his ability as a performer, as an athlete, as a character, as a person, that he can come into AEW, take the Dark Order, make him like the hottest act, which was an act that was floundering, and like now they're the biggest thing. And then also, again, just literally affect everybody's life around you. And again, in 7 months, he was like everybody's favorite person, it seems like, in AEW. Again, he knew a lot of those guys beforehand too, but it's just the impact, and just it's also one of those things that makes you sad, just like hearing all the stories about just how universally loved this guy was by everybody in the wrestling industry, which is a weird thing because nobody usually has like unanimously nice things to say about anybody in any walk of life. And just especially in wrestling, it's just like nobody has said anything negative about him.
Yeah, you just said exactly all the things I wanted to say. It's like he had this run in WWE that, went so. And then he gets signed on AEW, and he's going to show up, and he's going to be great. And then I remember clearly everybody saying, okay, great, Brodie Lee's going to be on AEW. Oh, but he's going to be with the Dark Order. And everybody was like, really? Come on, man. Brodie Lee deserves better after everything he'd been through. Like, they were doing that. I remember. And they were just discrediting it completely. And it's like, we'll have to see how it works. And guess what? It worked really well. I mean, as far as the segments with Brodie Lee...
Worked amazingly well, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, as far as the segments with Brodie Lee and the Dark Order on BTE, I think they were good. But sometimes it was a little too much. But there was some great stuff. But at the same time, not my cup of tea. But I love that Brodie was, like, so intense, too. And his look is great. Like, his facial expressions are great. Like, that guy really got the business. He understood the business. And he understood how to work matches. And, in the ring, he was good. He wasn't the best, but he was good enough to where he could use psychology and stuff to work matches and be believable as a big, tough guy. And scary as hell, too. I mean, the guy, you couldn't see his mouth. You've never seen his mouth. I've never seen the guy's mouth, So it was like this void of black.
That is true.
His face was just this void of black. He had the long black hair and the humongous black beard. And it's like scary shit, man. But, and it's crazy because, Wardlow said it in the testimonials, and we'll get to that in a bit. But he said, I think in the business, the bigger the guy, the nicer he is. And I thought that's a good analogy because there's a lot of big, good guys like Kane and, all these other guys too. But anyway, so Colt Cabana wins. They all do like Brodie Lee moves at the end of every finisher, right? So Colt Cabana hits a what does he hit?
I think it was God, it's always so hard going back and remember this, but I think he hits the discus clothesline.
Yeah.
And then that sets them up for because like he does like that Chicago skyline, which is so cool. And then like the Young Bucks, I can't remember exactly how the match ends. But yeah, pretty much everybody in all Dark Order does, a nice Brodie Lee tribute. It always kind of accumulates in like either the discus clothesline or that big slam power bomb he used to do, and just like it was really nice, all that.
Yeah, I would like to jump ahead to the MJF match with Brodie Lee Jr., which was pretty cool moment. God. Pretty cool moment. It was MJF. Yeah. Well, it was John Silver, Alex Reynolds, and Hangman Page against MJF, Santana Ortiz, right? So, dude, when MJF goes over to the kid and he says, "You're nobody," oh my God! I thought that is the
my God.
But I thought, you know what? In the grand scheme of things, that is probably the furthest he could have gone, and he was just like right on the line. So, like, MJF is a pro, man, and let me tell you, like, I was just, you saw on BTE, Eddie Kingston did that speech which went viral about Brodie, and you see MJF there out of character. Just he broke kayfabe there. You just see him there, and he's cheering on. And there is another clip on YouTube I've seen of High Spots Wrestling Network where he's interviewed, like, shoot an interview MJF, and he's like a super nice dude. So I can't believe he turns it on, and he can be such a dickhead. Like, he's legitimately hurt fans' feelings and stuff. Flipped fans off when they wanted a photograph and said, "Hey, I've heard you're a fan. Guess what? I don't care. Fuck you." But anyway, it was great when he got hit with the kendo stick, and John Silver hits this Excalibur cries, and Jericho has to cover for him, which is cool because Jericho is like, he earned his stripes in that moment, I think, because Jericho is also known for, improvising. He's really good at improvising on the fly. Remember, he had that match on Raw or something with, I can't remember who it was, but they were hurt, and he started pushing Charles Robinson.
Oh, yeah, Pac.
Oh, yeah. And
Pac broke his ankle.
And he was, like, yelling him, he's hurt, but he worked it into the thing. It was great. But, yeah. Anyway, so he hits this Lariat. Excalibur cries. Jericho covers for him. But anyway. And, oh, my God. Eric Rowan is here. Redbeard. Rowan. Redbeard. When
Rowan.
he came out, I think that was my favorite part of the show. I honestly think it was my favorite.
Oh, yeah.
It was a highlight.
This definitely, from what a lot of people online and whatever, I've read, this is definitely the moment that a lot of people definitely broke down and cried when they saw Rowan, because again, I saw, or Redbeard, whatever.
Yeah, Redbeard. You can say Rowan in this show. It's fine. Fine.
Yeah, I was about to say, I don't know, man. WWE, they got eyes everywhere.
Yeah, Redbeard. Okay, let's go with Redbeard.
But what was about? Yeah, we'll do Redbeard, whatever. But I can't remember what podcast. I think it was the Going and Raw podcast where they say, like, it's such a touching moment because his whole WWE run, Brodie Lee's, can be summed up as tagged with Rowan.
Pretty much.
So it's like he's always been so synonymous with those guys, and then seeing him, it's because you kind of like his whole Brodie Lee run in AEW. You kind of forget about Eric Rowan, like as a wrestler even for a little bit.
Yeah. And
then you see him with the sign, and you like, or even just coming in the match, and then it hits you, you're like, man, if I'm this sad, how sad is he? Like, you're just like, man, his whole fucking like. He's like, you just think about all the time that those guys spent on the road together. Because again, they're working as tag teams, so they're driving, working 300 days a year or whatever together. Like, so those dudes had to be tight to be working that long together, you know?
Yeah. And
Because I mean, again, if they weren't cool with each other, they, you know, that chemistry, that tag team wouldn't have worked for so long, you know?
yeah, you could tell they had chemistry. You could tell they were close friends, you know, because they were, you know, I think they had a lot in common and shit like that. But the thing about him showing up is like, I mean, I remember he got released on Black Wednesday, I think, and he did an interview with Chris Van Vliet, and that's all I heard of him after that. And he was said, "I'm just gonna pursue acting now. Acting's my thing. I have some castings lined up, casting calls lined up, and I'm gonna do that." And then he just showed up, and it was like, and people were saying, "Oh, it turns out it's a one-off, or what is it?" And it's like, fuck you guys. I don't want to talk about that right now. I mean, I don't want to talk about angles. I don't want to talk about how they're gonna use this in the storyline. That wasn't the night for it. I don't care. I mean, I don't even want to think about if he's gonna be back or not. I don't want to talk about it. It was just nice to see him there in that moment and doing his finishing move, and you know, I mean, it's just my jaw dropped. It was a legit surprise. I never thought I would see him, and at the perfect time, and it was like the stars aligned where he was available and shit.
Yeah, I think you can even ask Michelle, my girlfriend. I popped. I was like, "Oh shit!" I was like, "Oh, it's Rowan." I was pulling a Jericho. I was like, "Oh shit! Oh, it's Rowan! It's Rowan!" You know, it's just just like so heartbreaking too, because again, you know, Silver hits that discus clothesline at the end, and then gets the pin, and just immediately, just immediately breaks down, and then freaking Rowan has to come down and, you know, pick him up, you know, and it's just like, it was just so sad, dude.
And
like that was definitely just
the sign was such a good idea.
Yeah,
too.
Just the sign.
It was such a good idea.
Just such a good thing.
Because the sign was such a good idea, because nobody's gonna want to talk and say I love you. Like, even that saying that is really hard. So you just show up in the sign, and it's a beautiful sign. It had great font. I mean, I thought it was a great idea. It was wonderful.
And supposedly it was a play off of what Brodie would say to like people when he would leave. He'd be like, "Goodbye forever," like was what he would always say to the boys, because when he would leave to his family, he would hope that weekend or whatever would last forever. So it's just like a nice little touching moment, like a play off of that, like goodbye for now. And it's like, you're like, God damn it, it's so sad.
Yeah.
There is one thing though here that pissed me off. I don't know if you caught this, but like, so John Silver had like the trunks that Brodie Lee, you know, got him for the BTE skit. And I swear to fucking God, I wanted to punch JR in the face, because JR goes, "Well, he looks like a trucker." And fucking, And then,
I don't remember that.
Excalibur sitting there like, "Oh, yeah, no." I was so mad. Like, that actually got me a little heated, because like, again, he comes out and they're like putting on like, "Those are some good tights," and then JR just like, without skipping me, like, "He looks like a trucker." And then Excalibur's like, "Oh, well, you know, those are the tights that Brodie Lee got him for like the BT. He like paid those, got those especially for him." JR, shut the fuck up.
Oh, man.
JR again, just not knowing how to read the room, just like, "I don't care. He still looks like a trucker."
Oh, man.
I'm like, God damn it, JR. It's supposed to be, it's like obviously supposed to be a nice, heartwarming moment. And like, for a minute though, looking at it, you're like, God damn it, JR, you're right. He does look like a trucker though. Fuck.
I didn't catch that, but I'm glad I didn't.
And Jericho even jumps in. It kind of ruined the moment, because then Jericho goes in. He was in. "Oh, looks like he's wearing overalls, JR." I'm like, "Jericho, stop it. You guys, stop." This is not the time. Not the time to be making fun of his fucking goddamn gift for Brodie Lee.
Yeah.
Fuckers.
He couldn't have been happy about it. I mean, John Silver.
Oh, no, I'm sure John Silver probably wasn't happy about that looking. I mean, I guarantee you, though, he hasn't gone back and watched that episode. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, no.
I'm sure a lot of those, like...
But there's more to it than that, you know. It's all the episode. I haven't seen it. I mean, I don't know if I want to see it again, even though I think it's the best tribute episode for a wrestler that has ever been made. It's the best tribute show.
it just was well done from just start to finish. Just like, again, I don't want to go putting the finger at like WWE, but if this was like WWE, again, you'd get the 10 bell salute, you get the opening graphic, and then they would try to push the storylines. They try to carry along, like it'd be brought up in commentary. They'd have the armbands and everything, but it wouldn't be like the focus. They'd still try to push along the storylines, and it's just nice to see that again. AEW, like again, from all the reports, Tony Khan like stayed up to like 4 a.m. rewriting this, and like just really put a lot of thought. And it was nice that again, -1, Brodie Lee's son, Brodie Lee Jr. was like, I mean, again, play like a big party was like at the side, and just so many little like touches like that. Like even with the MJF stuff, at first I was like, oh my god, I cannot believe like MJF is flicking off this kid whose dad just died and calling him like nothing and everything.
Yeah. Oh my
but
God.
like it's like one of those moments where I'm getting worked though, because then when he gets hit, when he hits him in the face with the fucking kendo stick, you're like, yeah, you're like, yes,
and so
you're so happy for him, and it's
Yeah.
just, yeah, and it's like, it's just so well done and everything from here. It's just, yeah, probably I mean, I haven't seen very many tribute shows, but definitely the best tribute show I've seen.
I mean, the closest I can think of, and I saw a little bit of it recently, was Eddie Guerrero's tribute show, and that was really emotional because Batista comes out in the lowrider and he cries, and he was the champ, and then they had Chavo wrestling Benoit and stuff like that, and so and like a lot of these tribute shows, they'll have like dream matches sometimes between two people that were close to that wrestler or something that don't really wrestle each other, and they'll hug and they'll cry in the end, and that's a lot. But I mean, this went so far beyond that, so far beyond what we thought a tribute show could be, because we thought that was a tribute show. That was the standard back then because WWE did it. They were the only game in town. But now that AEW is here, they're saying like, we can do it better, guys. And they did. I mean, after that, well, what is it then? Brodie Lee Jr. comes out, and
oh well, no, I think we got the Lance Archer and Stu Grayson, Evil Uno versus Eddie Kingston and Butcher and Blade. Now that was a fucking match. I do remember that match because at one point Evil Uno and Eddie Kingston were smacking the holy shit out of each other. I was like, God damn, when I saw it, because like it was so cool. Like I think out of all the matches, this was my favorite, because I really liked Stu Grayson and Evil Uno. I liked like the original Dark Order when it was like they had like the creepers and everything. I did like that aesthetic. It didn't really go anywhere, but I did like Stu and Evil. I thought they were really cool. And seeing him in this match, it was like just seeing them kind of get that showcase was really, really nice. And then Lance Archer, my God, Lance Archer is like a really good babyface, dude. Like I would never have thought that, but Lance Archer like did some really awesome big man stuff, and just Eddie Kingston, Butcher and Blade, just this whole team. I mean, this had like that emotion from just the circumstances, and then just the match itself, I felt like was just hard hitting. I think these guys just like, it was one of those instances where everybody involved just put everything in the match, just everything aside, and we're just gonna have a match. We're gonna work through our feelings with this match. Is like the match I felt that the most with. Because again, Lance Archer again doing the whole Luke Harper, like got the wife beater and like the denim jeans and everything. I thought that was like a nice moment, nice touch. I was like, just everything about it was just really cool.
Yeah, and I like we were touched on before. I love the ending. Kingston is getting beat up by everybody, and then Jake the Snake comes in and he gives him a fucking clothesline. And, like, Jake the Snake, I thought he was on his deathbed a few months ago when he said, I have this horrible lung disease, which is worse than COVID. And it's like, dude, he's doing clotheslines? I mean, I don't know what the situation is, but it's great.
Yeah.
It was great. I loved it.
Yeah, it was a nice moment. Yeah, for sure. Just all of it. Just, really, really, really good stuff.
Orange Cassidy doing, like, this with Brodie Lee Jr., like, the laziest bump ever. I thought that was great, too. I thought, how is Orange Cassidy going to react?
Really
and
good.
I really thought we were going to see like him break kayfabe and just cry and stuff. And I mean, but they were pros, man. Everybody was a pro in that match, and in all matches, Anna Jay was awesome.
What I was supposed to say, that was the main event, right?
Yeah.
And it was because that was the And like, what a weird my first thought I was like, man, this kid he likes 10 Cody Rhodes and Orange Cassidy. I was like, that's such a weird like dream
Yeah.
team. Like this
Yeah.
is like such a fun little dream match for him.
Yeah. And also, people don't give enough props to. I don't know which Dark Order member was chaperoning Brodie Lee Jr., but he was there with him the entire time, humping him up.
Oh yeah,
I can't remember his name.
Alan Angels 5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was awesome. Like, that's what the kid needed. He couldn't. I mean, it was good to be there. I mean, with other wrestlers, but there was a guy there who took care of him. I thought that was great. So everybody was just, they did such a great job. And, as far as the video testimonials, the one that sticks out the most to me is Bryce Remsburg's, the referees. That was really hard to watch.
Oh yeah, just sobbing again. Like I said, if at that point you weren't already crying, then you definitely were then.
Yeah, I mean, it was hard to see him.
You know, you just see him just like
old dads together. We were gonna be the dads. Oh man.
And it's like so sad because again, like afterwards, of course, you go back and watch some of the Shikara stuff, and you're like, oh, that's why. Because again, he's the ref in a lot of that old Shikara matches that Brodie had. He's right there with him. So like, yeah,
have you
seen
just
so many stuff? Like so much.
Yeah. On a lighter side note, have you seen I think it's Shikara, the Invisible Man versus the Invisible Stand? The two invisible wrestlers do a match, and Bryce Remsburg is the referee. It's great.
Yeah, I've seen.
It's great.
That.
It's on
YouTube.
YouTube.
That is Chikara.
It's on YouTube, and they do everything. They do flying off the balcony spot with everybody, and it's entirely Bryce Remsburg. That the guy's a genius. He does everything, and then they break a table. I don't know. They just pull a cord or something. And he does the entire thing. But anyway, and then I enjoyed Jericho's story about when they were in Saudi Arabia, and he had an arrow.
Such a weird thing.
He had an arrow pointing upward, and then he invited Luke Harper into his hotel room, and he said, "What is that?" And he said, "That's the arrow pointing to Mecca." And Jericho says, "I didn't know that." And Luke Harper says, "Everybody knows that." And he leaves. I think that's awesome. And I didn't know that either.
Yeah, it's like that's such a Jericho story.
Yeah,
that's such a it's one of those things. Yeah, I think because they have to pray, in that religion you have to pray like every couple hours or so or something like that, and so you have to pray towards Mecca. And so that's why they have like the arrows and whatnot. And I think it's in every house, not even just the hotels. I think it's like every building.
Yeah. The one, I mean, it wasn't a downer, but the women's match was awesome. The one thing that was like, Britt Baker at the end saying it was all a big rig. I thought that was kind of okay. That's weird.
That's actually that was actually another Brodie reference.
I know, but it was like, kind of lazy.
Oh, it was weird though. Yeah.
I understand. I mean, I love the match.
The way to do it. Yeah.
Ty Conti and Anna Jay, awesome. I think they could be a legit tag team. I mean, because
I don't know why.
Or Ty Conti could be in the
they
Dark
haven't
Order.
been.
Yeah. Or Ty Conti could be in the Dark Order, which I could totally see her in. I mean, the Dark Order could use one more girl so that Anna Jay isn't the only girl.
Oh yeah. Well, what I think. What's actually going to happen? I think Anna Jay is going to not be like the leader, but I think she's going to be like the main figurehead of the Dark Order, like moving forward. I think
with the promo we saw yesterday, because the Ty Conti and AJ had a promo, and she was like saying their inner circle is going to be there. I'm going to be there in her corner. So yeah, she's kind of running the show a little bit. So it would be interesting to see her running it.
Yeah, I think she's going to be. Yeah,
I think she proved
and
herself.
Supposedly, Brodie really. Yeah, for sure, proved herself. That was a good match. She's like 21 or something like that. She's got like a lot of years. If she wants to, be a wrestler for a long time, she's got a lot of time to learn, and she could be like if they want to, they can push her, and she could be a champion down the line and somebody that they can really, really push behind and build a division around.
Sorry, I interrupted you. You said Brodie
and Ty Conti for sure.
Oh yeah, of course.
Oh, I was saying that apparently Brodie Lee really took her under her wing too, under his wing. I meant.
Right. Yeah, no, I think he was helping a lot of the people there. Like he bought John Silver that jacket, and that vest and stuff.
Yeah, that trucker outfit.
No, he bought him. That trucker outfit was, I think what it was is it was Brodie's gear. It was the gear that he wore. It was fitted for John Silver, but he gave him the shoulder pads.
Oh yeah,
thing.
the jackets. Yeah. They got that.
Yeah, he was wearing Brodie Lee's gear in the last match he had with Cody. He had that gear on.
Gotcha.
He was talking about the other one, but I still really enjoyed the women's match. It was pretty good, and yeah, all the testimonials were really, really heartfelt. And you know, it's crazy because -1 could be like groomed from now to be a wrestler, and I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. Like, does he want this?
Yeah, I was like, I don't know how. Yeah, I don't know how to feel about it when I heard, like, I mean, they say like he's got the contract if he wants to, you know, he could start he can be signed at 18 and whatnot, and like I think I was talking to somebody, I was like, my biggest fear is that they start putting him on TV like more now. Like I really like it's fine. Like I liked, you know, the tribute show stuff, and I liked I don't know if you saw what he did with Marco Stunt. I thought that was kind of fun.
He talked pretty well.
Really
like,
cool.
He talks better than a lot of wrestlers too.
Yeah, a lot. I was like, this kid's good, but like I hope, like I don't want them to do like the Eddie Guerrero thing where like, oh yeah, here's Brodie's son. Look at Brodie's son now.
Yeah,
Brodie's son's here. -1's here. Like, you remember Brodie Lee? Buy -1 shirt. Here's his son. But I don't want them to do that.
Wait, you're talking about Vicky Guerrero?
I think it's going to be great in 10 years. Well, yeah, just like how they kind of like pimped out Eddie Guerrero's death in a weird way. You know, on WWE, I always felt like they always like they put, you know, Eddie's like in storylines with like, you know, with like Rey Mysterio, you know, all that stuff with him and Randy Orton, like Eddie's in hell, and then like Vicky Guerrero, and like I just really don't want them to put his son in like storylines like right now and like doing like that stuff, trying to like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and also
like that kind of deal.
That whole thing with Eddie too, it was like, yeah, it was just like, remember Eddie, and everything was great around Eddie, and I think something that was kind of I didn't like very much, but you know, whatever, was Vicky Guerrero like debuted immediately after Eddie died. Like it wouldn't.
Yeah,
I remember
exactly.
there being like no grief,
just like
period.
no time.
Yeah, and it's like, come on. I don't know if this is. I think we're kind of capitalizing on this death too much when she did that. So.
Exactly. Yeah, and I think that's again a big difference between AEW and WWE is I feel like WWE wanted to take care of Vicky, but they are also like, we're gonna put you to work, whereas I think AEW is like just like gonna take care of the family, you know.
Although Brodie's wife is also a wrestler, which is pretty cool. So like that family knows about the business.
I heard that. Yeah. I heard that. I was like, oh, that's cool. Like when I always think that's like really cool when wrestlers like get married to other wrestlers. Like I was like, no, you're gonna just have like this little wrestling family.
I love, you know, Johnny Gargano.
Oh, 1 second. I gotta get my charger real quick.
Yeah, sure. We'll be back momentarily.
All right, there we go.
All right. So anyway, I think we've talked about everything but the final segment. Cody comes out and says Brodie Lee was a beautiful man, and he does that wonderful quote about, you know, when someone's gone, it's how they talk about them. That'll tell you how they were when they were alive or something. I'm butchering the butchered quote, but it was great. And then, you know, Brodie Lee Jr. comes out with Amanda, and Tony Khan, I think, made his first TV appearance. Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think he's ever been on TV before in Dynamite. It's the first time. I mean, except for that time he was
Aside for the Kenny Omega
thing.
stuff, yeah.
And he's been backstage. He was at the one time the Young Bucks, they threw money at him because they said he was going to fine them for if they interfered in a match. And was, here's fine us, Tony. Here you go. But apart from that, he's never been in the ring, and that's pretty cool. And you know, I think he's kind of playing out his wrestling fantasies because he's this millionaire that can hire all this talent. And, you know, I think that's part of the reason why Sting isn't really saying anything, because Tony just wants to watch The Walk every week. And he's just like, we're going to walk again today, Sting.
Yeah.
And it's like, and, you know.
That's true, yeah.
And you know, if you can get over and you can get paid with just walking to the ring and coming back, good for you, man. I love you, Sting. But anyway, he earns it. He's deserved. He's put in the work to get to that point. But anyway, so Tony Khan comes out and says, we're going to give you the TNT Championship for life. And everybody thought, oh, okay, so Darby's not the champion anymore. That was my first thought. But they just gave him that version of the belt. And I thought that's awesome because when Brodie Lee won that belt, he did great stuff with it. He did great stuff on BTE, and he elevated that title a lot. I think, you know, Cody was the first, like, real big-time champion. He was the first TNT champion, and he was, like, his mission was, like, I'm going to make this title important. You know, I'm going to make this, since I can't challenge for the world title anymore because I fucked up because I did that dumbass stipulation that, you know, everybody in AEW loves to do, which is if I lose, I'm never challenging. I guess I'll just make this new title and run with it, you know? And when Brodie Lee won it, you know, Cody had done all that open invitational, you know, he wrestled Warhorse and all that for the title. And then Brodie Lee came and said, that's stopping right now. Fuck you guys. Fuck you indie guys. I'm not going to wrestle any of you. And it's like, you know, it's just going to be about me and about my lackeys in the Dark Order. And it's just going to be about how great I am. And there's a great line which is, Cody, you are never getting this back. And, you know, I think it's so fitting that, you know, and he was, I think, the best TNT champion. You know, it's a short list. It's been Cody, Brodie, Cody again, and Darby. So pretty much.
Yep.
But out of the three, he's the best to me. He's the one who, I mean, it's kind of unfair. It's only been three.
Hands down, yeah.
But it's been 6 months or something. But, you know, it was the greatest. So it's only fair that they had him. And, you know, leaving wrestlers' gear in the ring always works. Always works. You know, Undertaker did it in WrestleMania, and we popped for it. It always works. So what are we doing here? Let's just call a spade and say it worked again for the 100th time. It got me crying, and then Tony hugging the kid, and it's like, oh my god, dude, where's my tissues at? It was intense.
Yeah. No, I mean, the first thought to me when this segment is, you know what's so weird is that's the last time we're gonna like hear Brodie Lee's like entrance theme song like in like a AEW like ring in that context was like the first like I think that was like my first like real like moment of like wow this is like real like because like when like his song hits when they go like and his wife and their son come out. It's like it hit me hard. Then I was like, wow. I don't know why. Like that moment was so surreal because like again, it was like knowing that there's never going to be another like Brodie Lee entrance with that entrance theme. First off was just like, just so weird to me and just so sad. Like one of the like the I think that in a weird way was like the saddest moment and like the weirdest closing point to me is like to have that coming out and then just the video package was just so good, dude. Like. Fucking Tony Khan buying the rights to Highway 55 and just like it was just for a show that was like unlike any other tribute show I've seen to kind of end like every tribute show you've ever seen was just so good, you know, because like that's kind of what I wanted at the end, you know, just to hear like that moment where like they give him like the belt to like Brodie Lee Jr. the TNT Championship for life, and like I think you know what Tony Khan meant to say was like, oh yeah, you can have this because it's your father's, but just in that moment, you know, you could tell Tony Khan's like rushing through this, you know, he can't like, he wants to say more, I'm sure, but he's about like at the point of crying. So he's just like, here, just take the belt. I fucking love you.
And also, you know, they were, I fucking love you. He turned, take the belt. I can't imagine that inner voice of Tony Khan saying, "Here to take the belt. I fucking love you." That's a shirt, man. Take the belt. I fucking love you. Anyway, yeah, and also, he's live and he has a show to run, and it's that guy has a million things going on in his head at all times. Like Vince.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that job just makes you kind of learn to multitask. Both him and Vince are always being, they're thinking about 1,000 things at the same time. They're both notorious for it. Tony Khan is like a jittery dude. It's like, hey, how you doing? Yeah, like, we're going to do AEW. It's going to be great. Dynamite, we're going to make video games, shirts. Buy Brodie Lee's merch. It's going to be great. Goodbye. Here's the belt. I fucking love you. He was like, has 35 coffees on him.
Yeah.
Like,
He has to, yeah. I like the energy though. I like his energy.
yeah.
Like I said, it's like I like his mystique though too, because again, like you said, seeing him in the ring is like you're right. It's like the first time, like I think aside from like maybe All Out 2 or All Out 1, the first like actual official AEW pay-per-view, he might have like opened that show with like Cody and somebody else, like as like a thank you, blah 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 blah. But yeah, seeing him in the ring was just just really hammered it all home. It just like made me like it also made me realize like yeah, this is like what a wrestling boss should be like though. When you see him in the ring, like not trying to do like this shtick or anything. He's just like just trying to do something nice. And it was just like what is it? I think Brian Alvarez said it the best when I was listening to the Wrestling Observer is like it's nice that he's not a carny, because like anybody else like in the wrestling industry, like there's a lot of carnies who would try to make a quick buck, like who try to make this whole thing like, I'm saying exploit it, yada, yada, yada. And at like no point did I ever feel like Tony Khan was like trying to exploit the situation.
Yeah, he doesn't need a quick buck. He has all the bucks in the world, man.
Yeah, exactly.
I think the Khans are legit one of the richest families in the U.S. Legit.
Yeah.
So, and he just bought Jungle Boy's music rights in perpetuity. I don't know what song, but he just said, here, I bought you your entrance theme.
It's called Tarzan Boy, I think is the name of the song.
Yeah, but he's like, here, Merry Christmas or whatever. He just wrote him on Twitter and he said, it's yours forever. It's like, okay, I guess it's the one he wanted, no? But, yeah, man.
It was apparently his song on the Indies.
Oh, okay, right. Yeah, man, just a great show all around. The Redbeard thing, the Brodie Lee Jr., all the people finishing maneuvers with, and everybody who was in the Dark Order taking a step back, sometimes even physically, like Hangman Page and Alex Reynolds just letting John Silver do the thing. I mean, it's just awesome.
Oh yeah, that's like one last thing. Yeah, it's like all the Dark Order members going over was just like nice too. Just like having like the baby faces of the night. Every single match. There's a couple times throughout where I also thought like, oh my god, like are they gonna like actually have one of them lose? Yeah. But just like those nice touches. Yeah, it was just like a good like it was everything like you needed out of a wrestling show, especially like a trippy wrestling show.
Yeah, for sure, man. And also just, I don't want to again bash WWE, but you can tell the family's going to be taken care of, not just financially, but, like as a support group and stuff. And I mean, WWE has done that for a lot of wrestlers, to be fair, but they have also not done it for a lot of wrestlers. They've left a lot of wrestlers' families in the dirt after, everything that the wrestler did for, the Owen Hart died, and it was a whole lawsuit thing. But then they just they never really took care of the family after that, and I don't think the Pillman family did that. Or I think what Brian Pillman Jr. said was that they gave him money, but the mom spent it all on drugs or something. It was like wow, and it's just nice to see that there's still a very united family, even though he's not there. But and it's not Tony Khan's not making a handout. He's not writing a check for him. He's just like he put up a shirt and said all the proceeds are going to go to the family, which is like we're chipping in too. So that's just a great feeling.
Which what is it? Pro Wrestling Tees is still any Brodie Lee merch you buy goes directly to the family. And so there's also EC3 has a shirt out you can buy if you want to
Mick Foley.
If you want to give a little and get a shirt, Mick Foley, any of his, CM Punk. If you want to buy a CM Punk shirt, proceeds go towards that. What is it? Collar and Elbow, which is another like wrestling brand t-shirt company, has another like Brodie Lee shirt. So there's many ways if anybody watching this wants to, give some money to the family and get a cool t-shirt.
Yeah.
You can do so at any of those fine websites.
Yeah. All right. I'll tell you what. Let's take a short break, a 5-minute break, and we'll come back and we'll watch some Brodie Lee matches to close out the night.
Yeah, I was about to say. I don't know which matches you picked, so I'm excited.
All right. I'll see you in 5 minutes, guys. Hang tight.
Cool. Thank you, my dear. I don't know. And yeah, Jesus. That was also like that last week of 2020. I was like, fuck. All my favorite people keep on dying. Yeah. It was like just the day after Christmas, and then like what was it like? And then like finding out that Doom died like 2 months earlier, though, like on like October 31st. You're like, what? And like I don't. Yeah, that is like the most nobody. It's probably in his will. Like, don't tell anybody I died, because like you never like Doom always like periodically. He doesn't put out records for like years at times, and then all of a sudden he's like on whatever, and then putting out whatever mixtape and shit. Yeah. No, I mean, oh yeah. That's really funny. That's really smart. That's really smart though. Uh, when I used to have like a vaporizer, yeah, I would always what I would actually do a lot of times with the vaped weed is I would make like brownies and shit with like my vaped weed, because like when you vape it, you vape out like a lot of THC, but it leaves a lot of the CBD still into it. So essentially, it's kind of still has like that CBD effect. So you can like, it's really good for like making edibles and like shit like that with. But I don't really. Yeah, you need a lot. That's why you get like swag weed. Just like I had a buddy who he would do that, and you know what? Looking back on, I wish I would have done that kind of thing when I was younger, like make brownies, because he would get some. We had a neighbor, our buddy Bean across the street. He would, or no, it was a guy named Soul. He had like the shitty mid weed. Like the only place I could find mid for a long time was his house, and like you can get like it was shit like a half for like $40, like that kind of like pricing, and so I would buy. Yeah, I would buy from him all the time though. I would like, if you get $40, I was gonna buy like a half of this mid, and then get like a quarter of like some dank. I'll be good for like 3 weeks. I would always kind of mix. I would take a little bit of like the good weed, mix it with a bunch of the shitty weed. So like the shitty weed had a little bit of like kick to it. But now I don't have to worry about that shit anymore. I can get good weed for fucking nothing now. Now I get these like fucking these pens all the time now. Yeah, I'm ready for round two. I'm curious the matches, because I'm curious if there are any of the matches I watched too after the passing. Oh, the stream. Where's the? Is it on the? Yeah, I have it. It's on the Facebook, right? On every platform. Oh, the stream. Where's the? Hey, yeah, I'm listening to myself. Yep.
Back. We are back. we're gonna watch some Brodie Lee matches. We are gonna start with. Oh right, I gotta do some real estate digging around here because you see I'm there twice. I need to get myself off of this and bring in a Discord window. Give me 1 second, guys. I got this. Window capture. Yeah, this is exactly what I want. All right. I'm going to make you small for a moment there. Okay.
Oh, I think there's a delay on my end, though. Watching it on the Facebook Live.
Oh. Are you on the
YouTube probably
laptop?
better.
Are you
Yeah, I'm on the laptop.
Well, go to Twitch. Maybe I think Twitch might be better connection.
Let's see. Probably Twitch probably way better.
Yeah. Let me know.
Not all I'm not all caught up with all the fancy doohickeys yet.
Right. Can you see the stream?
No. I can see it on Facebook. Yeah, I have to sign into my Twitch real quick.
Okay. As
Just
long as the video
Facebook Live.
As long as the video plays okay, we're good. But you'll have to let me know because it'll play good for me. I think it looks good, right? Can you see okay?
It's a little grainy, but yeah, I can see it.
I mean, frame rate wise, it's good. It's not choppy.
Oh yeah. Frame rate wise, it's good. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, that's kind of what we want. It's of course CZW, so it's made with not the best equipment, but yeah.
Oh yeah, that's probably why. I think I did watch it. That's the Moxley Brodie Lee match.
Yeah. Sorry.
Cool.
Sorry. I'm gonna bring it back. There we go.
The man, 6'7", 280 pounds. That gives him about a half a foot and 60-pound weight advantage over the champ. Oh!
Yeah.
With the big suicide dive, taking it to the big man.
Can't believe
It's so weird to me too. I never realized that WWE let him keep like the wife beater and like the denim gimmick. I didn't realize that was like always his thing.
Yeah.
Until, like quite recently.
Especially Bruce Pritchard, he hates the wife beater because he took it away from Billy Kidman when he moved from WCW to WWE. He said specifically, "I fucking hate the wife beater," so he started wearing tights and stuff, a singlet. But I think the look is great. It's weird to see Brodie like this because he has you can actually see a little bit of his upper lip, and it makes him look like a totally different person.
Yeah, when you see the various stages of his beard, it is really interesting because in some of his early stuff, you see he's got those. He's kind of got that early Triple H Lemmy chops kind of going on. And you kind of see how big his fucking mouth is. You're like, God damn, this guy's got a big chin. No wonder he's got a beard.
Yeah, exactly. He has to hide that shit somehow. Moxley was oh shit. Moxley was a legit badass before he was in WWE. He's one of these guys that, a legit badass before he was in WWE type. It's like Drake Younger, who's the referee in NXT now. He has all these cuts from barbed wire and glass on his torso. It's crazy.
Yeah, I was thinking about that when Moxley did that promo last night because with the shorter hair, you can see all the scars in his head. You're like, damn, all that shit. From these CZW matches and the barbed wire and everything.
That's
just
true.
Fucks you up. But it's nothing compared to when you look at somebody. Ooh, yeah. When you look at somebody like the Iron Sheik though, or something like that, their fucking ground beef foreheads, or like Rocky Johnson, like The Rock's dad, like
Abdullah the Butcher.
just like from blading and just like, yeah. Fucking, just how nasty their heads look.
Yeah, it's a huge deal, man. Oh,
God, it's just like, and you know, again, it's like, it's so crazy that he could work these style matches too, because
Yeah.
usually you don't see big men like take bumps like that. You know, he
Yeah.
wasn't afraid to take a bump.
yeah. And it's crazy to think that these two guys were wrestling under these indie names. They went to WWE, they changed their names, and then they went back to AEW. They moved to AEW and they went back to their indie names. Like they had the same kind of trajectory.
Oh yeah,
I have.
that is really interesting. I didn't think of, because yeah, you're right. Yeah,
Because he was Dean Ambrose and it
That
was
is-
Luke
that's
Harper.
very-
And they wrestled
Yeah.
there a bunch of times too with the Shield and shit like that.
yeah. I
So,
mean, they had like arguably their
Man.
best matches together in WWE
Yeah.
as the Shield. Yeah.
dude, that slap was so great. See that shit?
Yeah. Well, that's why, like, with that Evil Uno and what is it, Eddie Kingston, like them smacking the shit out of each other. It's like, after again going back and watching all of this, I guess smacking was his thing. He would just smack the shit out of people.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I've told you before, like I love to do like slap jobs where people slap each other. In wrestling, it just works so well. Dude. Oh shit.
Oh yeah, yeah. Oof. Just such a big, yeah, just such a good big man, and it's like, just like Bruiser Brodie too. You know, I never quite understood those comparisons until, like, again, watching a lot of his earlier stuff.
Yeah, me too. The two of them are like legit scary. I think Bruiser Brodie is scarier because he would bring a chain to the ring and stuff like that. But dude, Luke Harper, Brodie Lee was scary.
Yeah, it was very, yeah, just very intimidating looking, like man.
Yeah, the thing about
And just,
Moxley is,
oof.
like, when you look at early John Moxley, like, the good dude was, like, legit handsome. Like, he could have been, like, a fucking model. And he's, like, destroying his body. You kind of love it, too. But it's kind of tragic, too.
Yeah, yeah, no. Because he looks like a little emo boy in this.
Yeah.
It's like always really funny when going back and watching like early
Yeah.
John Moxley matches, because he's like got like the little, he's got like bangs, and he's like looks like an angsty kid from like the early 2000s. Which he's like an Ohio kid, and like all the people I've ever met from Ohio look like him.
Really? My grandparents
Yeah.
are from Ohio. So my mom was actually born there, and I have family out there, and that hair
Same.
color is a part of my family. You know, there's a fun fact about myself I don't share a lot, but I think I'm related to Maynard James Keenan, the frontman from Tool.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
That's-
well,
how does that?
because Keenan's my mom's name, so in Peru and in Latin America, your full name is your first name, your last name, which is your father's name, and your second last name, which is your mother's name. So
Okay.
my name's Esteban Cueto Keenan, like Maynard James Keenan. My mom is Kristen Keenan.
Huh.
So they're from the Keenan family, which is an old Irish, immigrant that moved to Ohio in like the 1870s or something. So what I'm guessing is there's this Irish guy, he settled and the kids kind of spread because Maynard James Keenan is from Ohio, from a town 2 hours away from the town my grandfather grew up in, and all my family lives in. Well, part of my family. I have other family in Columbus, but
Huh.
the family, like, out there. So I'm guessing if he grew up 2 hours away, pretty good chance, and his name's Keenan like mine, pretty good chance that, we're related. I mean, I would say so, but I have no way of finding that out. The dude's, like, super secretive. I'm sure he's not going to give a fuck. No, and probably not even that closely related, but I'd like to find out if we are and how closely we are related. I don't know what to do. Should I spit in a cup and send it to National Geographic? That'll tell me? I don't know.
Yeah, that's how I figured out that I was related to David Grohl.
You are related to David Grohl? How?
Yeah, that's why I moved to Seattle, because like we hang out and we play music, and like I'm like unofficially like the 7th member of the Foo Fighters.
Right. And how is he your relative? Exactly.
He's not. I don't fucking
Oh,
know
dude,
Dave
I thought it
Grohl.
was real. You fucking jinxed me. You were ribbing me. You were playing me as a friend. Well,
It was a joke. It was a joke amongst friends.
it was a joke amongst friends. I understand. Oh no, they're gonna bring Glass out. They're gonna bring Glass out.
Yeah,
Shit.
dude, it's gonna suck. Ugh.
Dude, we've talked about TZW a little bit, but they have 3 stable, like 3 main events, like not 3 big shows every year. One of them's Tournament of Death. The other one's Cage of Death. They're both really hardcore based, but the other one's called Best of the Best. And that one's just mat wrestling, high flying, no weapons, and it's awesome, dude. And every like violent show had matches that didn't have any weapons, and they had great ladder matches and stuff like that. Really interesting stuff. So, like, I suggest you go like in early 2003. Oh! CZW, and you'll find a lot of good shit like that.
Guys, that just like I hate Glass.
Oh, I love
Glass. Always seems like I'm sure it's like gimmick Glass. It's like I'm sure it's like gimmick Glass, but just the thought of it always like that's like the real work in it all is like just the thought of like cutting yourself on the glass.
I love gimmick.
Ooh, that black hole slam of him is so good.
Yeah. I love fucking Glass spots. I guess we defer there. You know, there was a time where I was really into
Well,
CZW.
I mean, I like the entertainment value, but it just like, ugh.
I love
it's
the
one of those things that
sound.
works me. You know, what I'm saying I get worked.
Well, I mean, it's real Glass a lot of the time because fucking, like, I don't know if you know, there's a famous CZW legend, Danny Havoc.
Oh, Zandig. Oh, Havoc. Yeah, he he died.
He
recently,
died,
didn't he?
yeah. And he had his retirement match a couple years ago, and he does like storyboards and draws out matches. He draws like illustrations, vivid illustrations of what's going to happen in the match. And he draws a ring, and he draws a table, and he draws a pane of glass. And he sketches the match, and I've never seen somebody do that. There's a really cool documentary on Vice where he does it. And then he basically said, you know, I'm going to need more glass panels than they can give me. So I think they went to the promoter's house, and they actually removed some glass panels from his house to bring. Oh! To bring to the match and use for real, and then said he was going to pay him back.
That's such a high. That's such a high fall for him. That bump. You got to think that bump for Brodie, because he's already like 6'5" or whatever.
Yeah. Coming
from the top of that ring down to that. Ugh.
That was great, man.
These guys.
All right.
That's yeah. That's just like, and you know, like again, to talk about just Brodie, just in ring work. You know, just he's a big man, and he just gives so much. You know what I'm saying? Like usually big men just don't bump and sell like the way he does.
Yeah, they don't. And you know, he was just like so intense throughout the match with the expressions, and he was just like it looked like he was fine from all the shit he was taking from Moxley. It would look like it didn't really irk him. So that was awesome. Until it did, no, but that was really awesome. Ring of Honor is gonna upload a Brodie Lee match every day until Monday. And this is the first one they uploaded. Brodie Lee and Delirious versus Kenny King and Brett Titus.
Oh.
So let's watch it.
That's cool. Oh, Delirious, I guess, is the head booker now officially since Marty Scurll got fired or decided to leave or whatever have you.
I thought Marty Scurll was involved in the speaking out movement and shit like that.
Well, he was still the main booker. It's supposed to be the head booker for
Ring of Honor.
For what is it, Ring Honor? But yeah, ever since the speaking out stuff, yeah, they decided to he basically was just sitting at home for the last 6-8 months, and then yeah, just recently they let him go.
Wow. Yeah.
And so it's like that's such a weird situation. Like, Like, I wonder what he's gonna like. I wonder if he's gonna end up anywhere. It's kind of like the Tessa Blanchard thing. Like, you gotta wonder where like if somebody's gonna like take the chance on like getting, because like wherever he goes, man, there's just gonna be that heat on that company that takes him because of just like that shit that happened. Which I don't know if it. I mean, he says it actually happened, so I mean, it's confirmed, I guess, via himself that something happened. You know?
Yeah.
Which is just weird because again, it's like one of those weird things. Yeah, Jesus.
Yeah. Sorry, you were saying?
I was sorry. I just got lost by the match too. Because he's just like, God, he's just got such a good presence in the ring, and like, yeah, this is like one of those short bearded Brodies too. Like, like you said, you see his chin. That's when I guess this is probably when he was big rig.
That's what I was saying. Like, he fucking like when you see his upper lip, it's like that's so weird.
It really is. Yeah, it was funny. I don't know if you ever like pay attention to what is it? Zack Ryder's and Brian Myers' podcast, the Wrestling Figure podcast or whatever.
Really.
Well, they did a like a tribute episode where they were making fun of like Brodie's chin and like the bald spot in the back of his head. They were like ripping on him.
Yeah.
I just thought that shit was kind of funny.
So I was
like, he still looks cool though. Like, this dude, like, he's got a cool look.
Yeah, no, for sure. And it's one of those looks where you think he can do more. You don't think he can do more than he actually can. He can do more of what you think. I was thinking, like, I forgot to ask before the break, how many matches do you think he had in AEW total?
Oh, I mean, you know what? You could probably count them all on both hands. I think probably, I think, you know, maybe even Jericho might have mentioned it on his podcast. I think like 10 matches, something like that, 9 or 10. You know, not very many because he didn't do any. He wasn't on AEW Dark ever. He didn't do any matches on there. He had a couple squash matches, you know, in his early run with like Marco Stunt, a couple people, a couple jobbers. You know, the matches with Cody. You know, there's 2 of those. Yeah. Couple, what is it? He had a match or 2 with Orange Cassidy and a couple. So yeah, maybe at the most 12, I would think.
10 or 12,
you know?
Yeah. I was thinking in that ballpark.
Yeah.
And a lot of them, you know, were tag team matches with the Dark Order and stuff.
Yeah.
But it's sad. The sad thing to me is that dude died before crowds could come back because he deserved to have crowds. He was going to have them in Rochester. He was going to debut in Rochester, his hometown, and then fucking virus hit. And then it's like, oof. It was like not meant to be. That's simple as that.
Yeah, it's just one of those deals. Like, could you just imagine when he would have debuted, you know, to like his hometown in Rochester? Like, that just would have been one of those moments that just would have been remembered forever.
Yeah. It's like the same with Drew McIntyre. I mean,
You know?
poor guy. He was, after years of climbing up the indie ladder again into the job after being fired. And he was finally going to get his due. He was going to get the title, and then no fans. But he talked about it, and he said something really interesting. He said, there's a moment when you win a match and you're celebrating with the crowd, you win the title, and then you go to your hotel and you have a moment where you're in the bathroom and you just look at the title and you say, I did it, I made it. That's a cool moment too, and I got to have that moment while I won the title because there were no fans there. And I thought, that's a good way to spin it. And I thought that's a good attitude to have, Drew.
Yeah.
I love Drew. He's great.
Well, and then you have to, yeah, I really like Drew too because, you know, even though I can't remember the last time I've actually watched an episode of Raw, I'm just so happy that from my whole understanding and like the highlight clips and, you know, just the bit I do watch, that he's like holding down the fort. You know, he's like the only reason, like, or one of the few reasons to watch the show from my understanding. And it's nice to see that in like that weird way, that prophecy that Vince foretold however many years ago. You're the future world champion, Cal, or whatever.
Great
you know,
voice, man.
and you know, what is it? I always like. You ever see Beyond the Mat, that documentary from back in the day?
Yeah, we make movies.
Yeah, we make movies, kid. He's gonna puke.
Man, it sounds really, really similar. Oh man, I feel so
I could do a
sorry for
good.
that
I could
dude.
do a good Vince.
Yeah.
Who, Vince or
No,
Draws?
draws, man. You see him in Dark Side of the Ring?
Yeah, that's a sad thing. Yeah. He looks bad.
Yeah.
He does not look good at all.
Yeah.
It's just like one of those things, and it's like, ugh. It's like I don't know. Does he get still? I mean, does like what does he do for like? I guess he just like welfare or like health benefits or something like. Because like I saw a picture of him recently. I was like, damn.
Dude, Vince could have paid that guy for his entire life, but he chose not to. Like, that's the sort of thing that I hope wrestling promoters can't get away with anymore, and Tony Khan's not going to do, hopefully. I don't want to get too enamored with Tony Khan, either, because we don't know the guy. He's just getting into the business, and we want to see where this goes and stuff. But I like to do that. I like how he's running things, but, in wrestling, you can't really trust anybody.
I like it, too.
In many ways, I think. I don't know.
That's true.
It's not so black and white.
But I think the best thing I can say about Tony Khan is that it's kind of like he's a kid getting to play with all of his favorite toys that he never got to play with growing up.
That's what I was saying. Yeah.
And so I think that at least his spirit is pure, and as long as he holds that as long as he's got that, I think it'll be good. I think everything will at least stay, not everything will hit 100% of the time, but at least it'll all be coming from a good place.
Yeah, I mean, it's just funny that there it is. That's beautiful.
Yeah, dude.
I mean, it's just funny that they said they were going to be different from WWE, and they're kind of acting very similar sometimes with all this kind of sports entertainment geared things. It kind of makes you maybe frown a little bit.
Well, I can't remember who I was listening to, but somebody made a good point because other people have been mentioning this. I've been realizing it. Like some of the other podcasts or wrestling like reviewers and whatnot have been kind of saying a lot of the same thing. And I think I agree with what they say is because of the pandemic, you kind of have to be a little bit more sports entertaining to kind of keep people like occupied or preoccupied. I don't know if that's like the booking philosophy, but like you kind of have to be a little bit more sports entertaining, I think, in times like this to really get people's attention, Yeah. Especially with everything else that's going on in the world, like news wise. I mean, especially with everything yesterday. You know what? Do you know the ratings for Dynamite yesterday? Were they was only at 6,000 or 600,000.
Man, yeah, I don't know how the wrestlers could have probably made that show like after what happened and just having to go out there and do a show. I can't imagine what they were going through.
I was telling Michelle that I was watching that episode and I was like, this is a really good episode, but god damn, it's probably gonna do horrible in the ratings just because of what's happening tonight.
Yeah.
And to be honest, I had to pause it a couple times while I was watching shit. Even and I was watching it after it already had, I was watching it on delay, and I still even had to pause it.
There's just so much news, and there's gonna be so much news for another week. There's gonna be news about what happened because it's so unprecedented, as they say.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, jeez, just fucking, it's ridiculous, but. It was still, despite all that, I mean, it was nothing the wrestlers could have done any better, you know?
And 600,000 isn't as bad as 3,000.
But it's like almost a 400,000 drop, which is insane, though.
No, but they've done 800,000 or 850,000. Brian Alvarez always tweets out those numbers, and sometimes NXT does 655.
Oh yeah, I mean NXT for a while was doing 500.
Yeah. All right. So, last but not least, we're gonna watch. This.
I always forget he was in Ring of Honor. They don't ever I feel like a lot of people. I think from my understanding is Chikara was his big. That was his big place. It seems like.
Yeah, I was trying to think where he wrestled. CZW, Ring of Honor, and Chikara. This is from Chikara versus Cesaro, Claudio Castagnoli.
Ooh, is this the cage match?
Yeah. It looks like.
Yeah, I've heard about the cage. I haven't watched the cage match yet.
It looks like it's a cage match, yeah. Let's see. Chick picks. That's a great hashtag.
Yeah, no, this one's supposed to be really good.
Oh man, those
and then,
wooden
yeah,
stairs.
Cesaro's another one of those guys you got to feel for.
Yeah. New Day also.
Because like again, they did apparently just did a lot of work together.
Yeah, I mean, shout out to Xavier Woods who did the Discus Lariat too on SmackDown.
Yeah,
Raw.
yeah, I think SmackDown or Raw, one of the two.
Yeah.
One of the two.
That was a cool moment. And he talked about it on Raw Talk. So I think that's pretty cool too.
Yeah, this is a cool look for Brodie. The cut off shirt. I never really seen him like in that gig before. Oop,
Yeah.
falling into the people. That's so funny.
Oh man.
Man, I just wish Cesaro would. They would like push him. Like that guy's so good.
They were saying like wrestlers who might leave in 2021, and they were saying Cesaro and Shinsuke would leave. But I don't know exactly. I think Cesaro and AEW would be the best idea ever.
Oh, it would be great.
But
I don't think Shinsuke wants to leave. I think Shinsuke is cool with just being like a surfer now or whatever.
maybe, yeah. But at the same time, you know, maybe if he leaves, he can just surf. I mean, he doesn't even have to be there anymore. He's made enough money, and he can just do one-offs if he wants to big checks or a tour. So I just think that he still has something left in the tank and wants to give out. So Shinsuke and AEW would be good, but I think Cesaro, Castagnoli, and AEW would be a great idea because he could feud with like Cody. I can totally see a Cody feud with him. And
Oh yeah.
even like a Christopher Daniels
Just
feud.
right into the fucking steel surge. You know who I think is one of my big predictions for 2021. I think Sami Zayn's gonna not re-sign with WWE, and I think we'll eventually see El Generico back on the AEW independent circuit, like wrestling scene.
So they were saying that like El Generico, the character, he retired it. He wasn't going to do it anymore because he said that he had gone to an orphanage in Mexico to help children. So I thought he retired that gimmick and he wasn't going to do it anymore. But he apparently
I just think if he were to leave WWE and if he came, I mean obviously he wouldn't be able to use the Sami Zayn moniker. And if he came to like AEW, come back as like El Generico, and then he could just like be like, oh, I came back from the like. It'd be such a good like. I think it'd be such a funny like good like storyline because like you could say that he came back from the orphanage. His work, like he could be because like he's like a heel now. But if like he like say he didn't re-sign and then his 3 months is up for his non-compete and then he comes to the AEW and say you have like some big heel, he can come back and be El Generico, the big baby face, and like I came back to stop you, and there'd be a lot. I think he could have a lot to work with, like doing something like that or having like El Generico come back in some capacity. At least that's more fantasy booking than anything else. I'd like to see it.
yeah, I mean it kind of begs the question to me that like, do you think Tony Khan gets these text messages from wrestlers in WWE saying, I'm ready to come in, Tony, and he gets all these people annoying him all the time that he doesn't really want to
100%.
sign, but he doesn't really want to sign, but he's just like,
I don't think
pestered.
I don't think it's even that he's getting pestered. I think he's more than willing to sign. I think there's certain people that he's already reached out to that are like, okay, Tony, it's time, that kind of deal. I don't think there's a lot of people because I think most wrestlers are smarter than that than to text Tony Khan himself and say, hey, Tony, you have a job? I'm sure Kenny and the Young Bucks and Cody, I'm sure they're getting pestered all the time about it.
Oh,
But
yeah.
I'm sure there are a select bit of guys that Tony Khan has already reached out to and is like, hey, man, if you ever, let me know. You know what I'm saying? I'm sure there's a select few that he's already got his eye on.
Yeah, for sure.
Submission wrestler, more like type of guy to kick you in the face. And speaking of
I think that Sami
I'm
Zayn,
sure.
I love him. And
Yeah.
I would love to see El Generico back too. One of my favorite promos of all time, the funniest ones, is what he does with Cole Cabana, where he says, "I eat children." Have you seen it?
You talking about where he does like the Nacho Libre gimmick?
So, but El Generico was kind of like El Nacho Libre gimmick, the entire thing. But like, there's a promo where they're feuding with Kenny Omega and Chuck Taylor in PWG, and Cole Cabana says, "Generico, I'm gonna show you how to do a promo." And Generico says, "Si, yes." And then he says, "Kenny Omega and Chuck Taylor, I'll eat your children. I eat children." You need to see it, dude. I'm gonna send it to you later. It's great. It's one of the funniest things in wrestling.
Yeah, send me that.
Here, Claudio trying to keep his distance from Brodie Lee, but Brodie Lee's
Brodie
a
Lee.
big guy with a big reach. Claudio now
God, just
fending
such a big guy. Like again, and like when he was
Brodie Lee,
I can't remember. I guess this has to be like what 2009, 2008, something like that.
2008.
So
yeah.
lean too.
Yeah.
Slap to the
For real.
face. You don't see that happen very often to Claudio Castagnoli. And now just standing on the man right on his
It really does, yeah. Just God, I can't say it enough. Just, and it's one of those things where it's like sad that you didn't realize it like back at the time. You know what I'm saying, when I wasn't watching any of this stuff. You know, and like you just watch it now, you're like, damn, just so good.
Yeah, for sure, man. Oh man. The slap. Yeah, I mean, I've gone back, and I think definitely his legacy as a wrestler is important, but I think more important is, I mean, what he's remembered by, honestly, is not his in-ring work, it's his quality of a human, and I think that's equally important, or even more important in a business like wrestling, where everybody just kind of fucks each other over, and you see that all the time, shoot interviews where they bury each other.
Yeah.
It's nice to see somebody be all about the love. And I think that's why it's not. Eddie was a lot like that, like after he got fired from WWE, he went back to the Indies. He had those really fun matches with Rey Mysterio and CM Punk in Ring of Honor. It was like a weird time there, but they had some great matches. And they went back to WWE, and everybody liked him, and he was the best. And then he dies. And that's kind of like what Brodie did.
Yeah.
Like his story was so good because he came back to wrestling, and he was wrestling for that company. He was doing so great, and then he died. And then he was such a great guy on top of it. So man, it's just tough.
Yeah, it really sucks. It's just, again, it's just like crazy. I just want to know like what happened, man, because like it's so crazy, like in just such a short period of time.
Yeah. Oh man, he does it like 3 times more. No.
Hooks the legs, 1, 2, no.
Oh, and wait a minute, Brodie Lee has been busted open here, man. I'm not sure if you mentioned that before, but
Wow. Well, it wasn't inevitable, Carson.
I feel like their announcers you can hear them at the arena too, because I think they're playing through speakers. That's how I'm hearing it, but I don't know.
Claudio going to work on top there.
I don't actually have the volume up on my end.
Oh, that was nasty. You see that? We need to run that back.
And right now,
Oh
Brodie Lee
man.
is facing
Oof.
Claudio going to work on top there.
Oh yeah, they're totally.
Oh, the face planted him.
Yeah, they're totally in the
Damn.
crowd.
And right now, Brodie Lee.
Yeah, they're definitely playing over the PA, the announcers.
Yeah, no, for sure. It's kind of distracting, I would say, for the wrestlers.
Yeah. It has to be. Yeah, I can't imagine trying to work.
It's like being in a boxing match or an MMA match and being yelled from the corner, do this, right jab, left hand. It's like, That's distracting, and you hear your opponents, and your opponents can hear yours. It's crazy.
I don't think Brodie
I don't know how they get
knows
away
what he
with it.
wants to do. He needs to focus, and again, he's deciding he's going to climb out over the top.
Trying to get his wits about him, and believe he's done so now. He knows he needs to escape this cage for the win. Claudio is down. He has to act now.
There you go. You see
God.
Claudio pulling him off, grabbing him by those jeans, but there's Brodie. Claudio fighting it, gets him up.
What's he have in store here?
Supposedly his brother too was a wrestler.
Cesaro's brother?
Him and his
Or-
Brodie
no,
Lee's.
Brodie
They were
Lee's.
Huber Boy 1 and yeah,
Oh,
They
yeah.
were Huber Boy 1 and 2 or whatever.
Yeah, that's
Which
what
I think
I'm
is
formerly known as
pretty interesting.
the WWE Network show. He talks about that. That's when I really got into like Brodie Lee because I thought he was like
And again, you see
not
Claudio,
a
that took
nice
all
dude
his
because he was
strength
like
to get Brodie
this
Lee up in
fucking
that position
nice,
for that
not
first
nice
slam
dude in
and
the
just
ring. So I
launch.
thought he was real like that, but then
Claudio
he
needs
was like
to
super
stay on
nice. And
Brodie if he wants to
then I
win.
saw him in
Brodie
formerly
with a
known as,
reversal.
which is
Both men
that
will war
show
right now.
WWE superstars have where they go back to their indie arenas and they talk about their indie
Brodie has
gimmicks
taken so much punishment,
really
he
openly.
cannot
Like Seth Rollins talks
capitalize
about
right
being
now.
Tyler
He
Black.
needs to.
I don't know if you've seen him,
Well, I mean, right now,
but
Chikarza, with all that blood loss,
they're
you
pretty
know,
good. And he talks about being Brodie
I've
Lee.
seen
I mean, the man
I've
is
seen clips, yeah.
blind in both
And Luke
eyes.
Harper talks about being Brodie Lee, and he, you know, he's very emotional, and he talks about being a good dad, like his dad was, and then they show a picture of his dad, and it looks exactly like his dad, and it's great.
Yeah.
It's a great
Yeah, just like him.
piece of
I saw
media.
that clip, yeah, because that one was floating around on the old Twitter for a while.
Yeah, El
And again,
Twitter.
Brodie Lee trying to get to the top of
Hey, do you have a green
El
screen or something
Twitter.
behind you?
God,
He's almost there. Claudio
it can be a green screen, yeah. I don't have the green screen up. It's just like a white sheet right now.
White cloth. Oh, it's got a
Can he
white
make it
cloth.
over the top?
Yeah,
He's
Oh
trying.
shit, he's gonna come out.
but I don't know how like Cesaro's also just so impressive because he's just throwing Brodie around like nothing.
This is a very dangerous
Wow.
place to be,
Yeah.
Mantis. These are two big men to be up there.
Oh,
Both men crotching themselves on that top rope. Ouch! That's got to hurt you, Carson.
And again, under normal Chikara rules, you know, that could have been counted as a foul. That could have been
Also,
disqualification.
I
but
wish this was just like
this cage match, it's
the
been
camera. It just now my whole like filmmaking mind is going crazy just because like this camera guy like just fucking put it on sticks and be done. Stop with this whole like zooming in and fucking like he's trying to like pan with them and everything. It's just super distracting. Just keep it a hard cam and let's be done with it.
I mean, it is on sticks. He's just moving the zoom, but I know what you mean.
Yeah, well he's just like he looks like he's panning around. It looks like he's like
Yeah.
he's got like the
Now you got me
You know?
super noticing it. Yeah.
I've been doing it's just like now they're like yeah no he's zooming in like
What I would like to do is shoot a wrestling show. That would be awesome. Like, be in charge of that.
yeah that'd be really fun.
Again, Mantis, I never thought I'd see the day where this
I bet that'd be really fun. Like I said, it's one of my main goals living here in Seattle now is I really want to like work with Defy Wrestling over here. Like I said, do some like
sure.
production stuff with them is my big thing.
Yeah.
Like I said, yeah, Cesaro's just throwing him up like he's nothing.
No, there's a ref bump there. I think
But
you're
if
a
I
little
could, like-
behind me,
Like, yeah, I am.
Oh.
I guess because me, I'm watching on YouTube.
Oh, cool.
Because I went to Twitch and for whatever reason on Twitch it said the video was unavailable.
Oh, maybe I was switching them. I don't know. But I've been streaming for 2 straight hours. Oh no, somebody's in the cage.
Yeah, it said that the video was like a couple hours long, but
Oh, sometimes yeah.
for
we'll
whatever
let you
reasons,
see
yeah,
it.
it said the video was either it's weird.
Oh man. Yeah. Sometimes Twitch is weird like that. It's happened to me too. Oh, look at that shit. Sit down powerbomb.
This could be a Chikarson 1, 2, and no!
Oh my God, Brodie Lee kicked out of the Ricola bomb. And again, you gotta think
The ref is like,
watching the corner there, Bryce Remsburg, if he was right on top of that, it could have been all.
Leave me alone. I don't want to do this anymore.
I fucking love you. Take the belt. Still thinking about that.
And again, you know,
Take the
Remsburg
belt.
volunteered to be the one inside the cage. You know, he could have very easily taken
Because that's exactly what Tony Khan was like. I also kind of thought that was just you just tell he's just like I can't do this. Just take the fucking belt. I love
I
you.
love you, oh man. Great.
And it's like you can tell it's like he just loves that kid so goddamn much.
Yeah. It's like, let me shower you with love. I'm gonna give you the TNT Championship forever. It's so nice. So nice.
Yeah, it's so nice. And also, did you see the new TNT? Like, you noticed the new TNT title? I like the black strap on it a lot better, actually.
Yeah, I'm glad that that's how they went with it. They just retired that version of the belt, and that's great.
Yeah. Yeah, first because when I was watching it live, I was like, oh my god, or I was like, did they just like retire the belt? Like, which I would have thought. I mean, would have thought that was cool, but I was like, damn.
Yeah, what
I was
about
like,
Darby?
they really like.
And that's gotta be
Yeah, I was like, Darby, like, yeah, they're like, fuck you, Darby. Like, I was like, damn. But I think it was again because Tony Khan just like just couldn't like articulate quite the whole, you know. He was just like, take the ball, fucking love you.
Yeah. Take the ball, fucking love you.
No, he's trying to escape the cage. Well,
What is this kid doing? Who's this kid? There's this other.
There's a kid in here now?
There's this short guy.
Oh, I guess I'll see in a second.
This is Chikara, yeah.
Larry Sweeney's been lobbying for Claudio to help him take on the Fabulous 2. And again,
Yeah, who is this kid?
Larry Sweeney. I don't know, but I watched when I streamed Kevin Owens Eddie Kingston match. They talked about Larry Sweeney, and Kevin Owens talked about Larry Sweeney to Eddie Kingston to get heat on him. So he's some guy, important guy.
no doubt about that. And again,
Yeah, I guess he's a main event player in old Chikara.
I guess so. So, out of the AEW matches from Brodie, which one's your favorite, or which one do you recommend watching?
Ooh, so I really like. I mean, everybody talks about the dog collar match, which was really great. But I think as far as like shocking moments and like my favorite like must see to see like what Brodie was about, at least in AEW, was that first squash match when he won the TNT Championship. Like that was immediately the first match I watched after hearing that, because I remember watching that like when it happened, and I was like, I could not believe it, because up until that point, I had never seen Cody just like manhandled like that.
Yeah.
Like I thought Cody would get a lot more offense, and I was like, I didn't even think Brodie would win. I was kind of pretty sure Cody would win. It was one of those moments where I was like, oh, it's an on episode of Dynamite. It's not even like a pay-per-view. Just sure Cody's just probably going to win this match. And then nope, just a squash match, and like a brutal squash. And then you have like the whole thing afterwards with the Dark Order just like beating up the entire Rhodes family. And then you have, you know, Brandy coming out, and then Anna Jay is like choking her out. And then you have Cody on the stretcher, but you know, just like the dramatic, like everything of it. And then you at the like the last bit, you see Cody and Brandy holding hands as like they're beaten down and broken. And then Brodie has the bag where he like has like the old TNT title where it's like was in the wood chip or whatever. It's just in pieces, and he just dumps it over their bodies. He's like, it's like, that's yours. That's your title. He's like says something like it's trash, just like you, or something like that, as he's holding like the new championship. I was like, oh, it's all about that. I was like sold from that moment, like on Brodie. I was already like intrigued of the character, obviously, but that like solidified him, and like was really like the moment where you're like, hell yeah, this guy is like gonna be a star in this company for sure. And just really stuck with me.
Yeah.
And again, the dog collar match was really good too, though. I actually bought that shirt right after too, like the one where it has like him and Cody on it, and has like the date of like the dog collar match, because like I just wanted that shirt because it's like his last match, October 7th. It has like the date and everything, TNT Championship.
Yeah, I think those kinds of shirts are going to start to get over. Just a cool poster and the date of an important match, and the people involved in that match in the poster.
Yeah.
I think would be great.
Yeah.
the thing about it is
AEW, like I said, they have a couple. They have like a Moxley and a Brodie one that's really cool too, where they're both like the different sides of like an ace card or whatever.
Mhm.
Like I think AEW. I mean, like it's like a lot of people say. I mean, it is a T-shirt company, so there's a lot of cool shirts they do, and I love the idea of them like with these big matches advertising them as shirts. Because again, if shit like this does happen, you're like, oh, I want. I mean, that's like the main reason I bought this shirt again, because the whole thing it just has the date.
What do you mean it's a T-shirt company?
Well, you never hear that joke like when AEW was like first starting and like they weren't signing anybody yet or they weren't doing anything, but they were releasing T-shirts.
Oh,
Like they hadn't put on any shows or anything yet, but they had already had like a T-shirt for every wrestler that had signed it to that point. So people were online were like, oh, it's just a T-shirt company, and like
Oh, I don't remember.
that was kind of like the rib on AEW, and like that was like that was like the early days, like right when it had first just started.
No, yeah, I wasn't around for that, or I didn't look at it. But at any rate, they can do good stuff through, and the designs are really good too, and they can do good stuff like putting all the proceeds going to the family. But I watched recently, after I heard about the news, I watched AEW Unrestricted podcast, the Brodie Lee episode, which we were lucky enough to have given the circumstances, because this is the last thing he ever did. He talked about his work.
Yeah.
And he talked about, like, after everything, I lost it. I was crying for days with the tribute show and Eric Rowan. Seeing Eric Rowan look up and the sign and then look down and being crying, like the close-up of him crying, that's what gets me, that image. So after all of that, I'm watching the AEW Unrestricted podcast, and just to learn about the craft, just to learn about what he was like as a person outside of the ring in long form. And he talked about the dog collar match and how they had presented him with 3 types of dog collar and chains, and they went with the one that looked better on TV, but it was the most painful. And then he said...
The one that hurt one that hurt the most, yeah.
And then he said, I just want the fans to know I did it for them. And that really, after everything, like, that really got me, like, sad again. Like, I don't know if I cried, but I was like, man, I'm sad again after he said he did it for us, man. And he did now. And
yeah,
so,
that was such a good podcast or interview with him, because I remember listening to that, and it's like so heartbreaking, because he actually talks about how tired he was getting working out on his bike, in that podcast, remember?
Yeah.
And I just like, it's so sad, because you sit there, you think, oh, it's just a work, he's just selling the match, because in that podcast, like because I did the same thing after, because I listened to it when it came out, however long ago. I think that was like towards the end of like, because apparently it came out like 2 days before he got sick, so I think October something whatever is when it came out. So watched it then. Yeah, and then I watched it, recently, and then like he says that, yeah, he's talking about, it's just so surreal. Again, one of those. It's again like how how hearing his entrance music for the last time really hit home. Hearing that again really like hit me hard, because it's like, oh, it's been there like this whole time. Like he talked about it. Like we saw the first sign of it right here on this podcast, however long ago, where he's talking about like, yeah, man, I just can't finish my workouts recently. And it's like, at the time I'm thinking that's a work, where now you realize like, oh, that was like a serious fucking thing. It's like so crazy to think like nowadays, where you can go back and listen, and you could kind of, because again, it's like with anything, like a lot of people, like I'm also kind of like looking my whole, like the whole grieving process for me over the situation is also trying to figure out just like what happened and how it happened, and like trying to pick up, things. Like I went back and watched matches and just tried to like look, and I was like trying to see if he was like looking winded, or just trying to pinpoint a time when you can kind of see this starting to take effect. Because again, it was such a sudden thing that, you just try to get some kind of like closure any way you can. And it's just like, that was, again, like I said, I'm in repeat, but just a really weird moment, surreal moment to think that, again, it's right there in front of you, and you just never knew until it was, already over.
Yeah. I've done that sort of thing where I look at wrestlers' last matches and I try to pinpoint things, but it's also just not a fun thing for me because I get sad real fast.
Yeah,
And
yeah, it just makes you really sad for sure. You stop it really quick for sure. You're
Yeah.
after a while you're like I can't.
yeah, for sure, man. Well, uh, we went a little long. We did a little something different, but it was worth it. I think it was worth it. And
Yeah.
we'll go back to covering Dynamite next week, normal form. So I think we deserved, even though we were on break and stuff. This deserved to. We needed to do this, so I'm glad we did it.
Yeah, same. It's like I said, it's kind of like I said. I mean, it's very rare that you feel this way over like a celebrity. At least for me, like
Yeah.
I don't really connect with very many like public figures, and I'm not like a person to like get super sad over celebrity deaths. But this one definitely hit home again because like when you hear about again how good of a guy he was like outside of the ring, and it makes you again. It's like ultimately you start thinking about your own life and your impact on the world. And I think the best thing to take away from the tragic passing of John Huber is that he was a good person. So maybe I should try to put that forward a little bit more too, just to try to make the world just all a little bit better.
Yeah, for sure. That's what I take away from it too, and I don't know. This is gonna sound kind of weird, but um, I'm a big guy. I'm 6'3", and I'm 220 pounds. So like, I empathize with big guys. I like Wardlow and Jake Hager was awesome because of that, and Lance Archer, and I just like big guys. I think it's fun to see big guys do different things like Hanson, like Keith Lee, where you're not expecting them to do. And um, I don't know if I think John Huber did some interesting things. I don't think it was like completely groundbreaking, but what he did have is a tremendous understanding, like I said, of the business and how to work matches and how to, wrestling is really about what's your move set and how can you work it in to a story where you look amazing, because everybody has different levels of holds or move set, except unless you're Bret Hart or Tai Conti, who has judo and jiu-jitsu backgrounds, or somebody who has wrestling backgrounds like Brock Lesnar. You don't really, you can't really rely on your skills all the time to get over. So your camera is off. But anyway, hello. Oh my God, he left. He left. Let's get him back online. Let's get him back online. Let's get him back online. Oh, he's coming back online. Let's just give him a minute, folks. Hello, are you there? He's probably going to have to unload. Hang up and then call back. That's how I see it. Man, what's going to happen? We'll be back, folks.
There you go. Was that? I don't know what happened. I don't know if that was on my end or what. Weird. I don't know. I just had to. It just it's same kind of deal. Your camera and your audio just went blank, and like I had a little loading screen, and so I just exited out and came back in. Just ended the call and came back. Yeah, fucking bastards.
All right, sorry, y'all. It's like there was some miscommunication, but yeah, just finishing up here. Great, important wrestler for a big guy like me who kind of likes to see how big guys do different kinds of things. So, and just in general, just great wrestler, great tribute show, great everything. I love AEW. I hope the honeymoon never ends.
No, and I can definitely relate to that sentiment as well as being a bigger guy myself. A big bearded man.
Yeah. Like me. Too.
I can relate to the struggles of of another big bearded man. So,
how tall are you though?
It's just in so many. It's funny again. You say 6'3". I'm at 6'3" as well.
Oh, okay.
I didn't want to sound like I was like, yeah, I'm 6'3" too, man. Yeah, me too.
I just don't remember you being 6'3", but that could be. But you're a lot. You don't weigh. You're lighter than I am.
Yeah, I was when probably last time we saw each other, I was at 175. So actually too small for my weight or for my height.
Yeah.
But now I'm at 200. So
nice.
Right at a good solid size.
Yeah. Anyway,
that movie making life will kill you.
Oh yeah. No, or boxing twice a week will kill you too. So
yeah,
you just gotta do exercise somehow. But anyway, join us next week. We're gonna have AEW Dynamite again, and it'll be swell. Have a good night. Peace.